Hello one, hello all. Welcome once again to Blaine's Escape Corner. It's political night. That's right, welcome to Blaine's Political Corner, our little corner of the internet where we get together and we talk about drama, politics, and whatever else tangentially comes across our last week. We're going to get the Onikodoshi sake poured, and then we will sort of faff about for a bit while everyone rolls into the stream, and then we'll get started. What is late may never early. Ancient caveborn say. Oh. Only Enwas are early. Oh my goodness. Kampai, everybody. Every night needs to be political corner until Alex stops watching Prime Music Guy. Asmongold. Alex Moore, you watch Asmongold? Asmongold. Any reviews? Is there any reviews? I have completed Record of Ragnarok, and it ends well. It's only 5 episodes, so I didn't expect more than one battle, especially with the way that the series has been going. Little frustrating that they drag on for so long, but at least this battle had like a lot of crescendos in it, where it just was like getting better and better and then better and better. So very, very exciting as far as that goes. I think my only issue with this one is I knew the 7 gods of fortune. I was like, okay, cool. Let's see what they can do. Oh, they're like one god. Interesting. And then they were like all merging into like some crazy god. And then another thing comes in and is the new like fight. And you're like, I don't even understand if we're really still within the rules of Ragnarok anymore. I don't know if that's kosher with how these battles are supposed to go. Seems a little off, but you know, end of the day, I think it works. I think it's fine. Wasn't that crazy. I'm excited for more. I want to get to the what is Brunhilde planning? What is her end goal here? I want more of that sort of story, and I feel like we're faffing about a bit with like the way that these fights are just, I mean, 5 episodes for a fight is just it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Come on. Get this series done with. I want to know what's going on. You finished Jamie Boy is a realist. Your favorite never watched this show. I think you mean Dreaming Boy. I'm going to say that was Dreaming Boy is a realist. Entire point of the show could have been distilled down to maybe 4 episodes. Didn't need a whole season. No whole seasons there. Oh no, a bunch of the 20 or fall anime I marked as watching. Dang it. Oh well. That'll get fixed. I'll fix as it goes.
You should have let me in like 2 minutes ago. I was listening to the Persona 3 song Mass Destruction out loud. You would have heard
it. I don't want that.
Okay, but did you know that they've announced or they've shown a clip of the new song, the new version of Mass Destruction for the new game?
Interesting.
It sounds like shit. It sounds horrible.
Oh no.
They like kind of slow it down and make all the words more drawn out so you can kind of understand what they're saying now, and it kind of all just sucks.
Cool.
Yeah.
Only Vape Nation tonight. We do have one other story besides Vape Nation. A story near and dear to everyone's heart, I think. I think everyone cares about this, right? We all care about the Senate's dress code getting a casual overhaul because Fetterman doesn't fit in suits. I I know nothing about this change other than every time you look up an image of it, you see Colin Fetterman in a hoodie and shorts and everyone around him in a suit. And you're like, this guy can't find suits, can he? He can't do it. He has to show up in a hoodie. I'm for it. I hate dress codes. I hate the idea that like certain clothing is allowed and other clothing is not allowed. I went to a club in Vegas one time and I got turned away at the door because I was wearing shorts. Because I had like dress shorts on because it's Vegas and it's freaking hot. And I was like, yeah, I'll wear my nice button-down shirt. I've got these dress shorts. I'll look great. We'll go. And I get there, they're like, no shorts. And I'm like, why? No shorts. So I went back to my hotel and got my jeans that have like 1,000 holes in them and put them on and came back and they were like, right this way. And I was like, are you serious? This is way less like nice of an outfit now. But I get let in and I think so much of that is just dumb. I think any sort of requirement clothing wise tends to be dumb. You know, should he be wearing basketball shorts and a hoodie? If that was his campaign and people were like, you know what, that represents me. I mean, his job is to represent an area, so I don't think there's a negative really for the people. I think on a national stage, he'll get, you know, bullied and made fun of and teased, which I think plays into his hand of they're making fun of me because I dress like you. And he like goes back to his constituents and is like, I'm just a normal everyday you person among all of these hoity-toity DC people. And I think it works for him if we make fun of him. I have no real, like, at this point, I don't think this guy has any influence on my life whatsoever. But I am excited. I want to see, like, a Futurama, Simpsons, Family Guy style casual day at the Senate where everybody rolls in wearing just whatever. it would be it's a pretty good meme coming, especially if the Senate is no longer like sea of black suits and red and blue dresses and is just a wash of every single color that anyone else other than me can see.
AOC in a tie-dye crop top.
Yeah, there you go. Running around looking like Dua Lipa.
I don't believe they can't find a suit because if Jim Justice can find a suit, anyone can find a suit.
Jim Justice.
You gotta look up Jim Justice.
I'm looking up Jim Justice. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, how tall is he though?
I don't know.
So here's Jim Justice. Wide boy. He shops at the wide suit store.
He's built like a health potion.
He's got his bulldog in a chair next to him. That's kind of adorable.
It is. I forget
his bulldog's ass. He's like, look at my bulldog. I'm West Virginia Governor Jim Justice. Why? Why is he showing these people his dog's ass?
He has a bulldog with him. Keeps it around.
Free the boobert. Exactly. Built like a health potion, yeah. Didn't that happen on House of Cards? The shoes. I don't know. I mean, think about it. What if our representatives didn't look like substitute teachers? What if they showed up to the office wearing like normal everyday clothes? Tank tops and jeans and cowboy boots. This is now the representative of Colorado, Lauren Boebert.
I think each state should have their own dress code.
Voted on by the state. Exactly. Oh my goodness. Like, if Virginia could show up wearing overalls, Colorado shows up high, I guess.
Texas, they're forced to wear spiky boots.
Yeah, they have to wear stars on their boots, even though they don't wear like ride horses anymore. I like her glasses. How many people would turn into C-SPAN Speaker of the House with a hot chick who also would have a very ample, my words are failing? I mean, you could totally run it like one of those fashion events. Like, Mitch McConnell stands at the podium today wearing his Versace overalls with it, and it just
There's
the
just a
the
podium at the end
goofiest
of a
outfits with the
runway.
best designers.
There's a
Oh,
podium at the end of a runway they have to walk down.
yeah, they have to do a walk to get there. That would be for the ones that can walk. That would be hilarious.
I'm really disappointed that Fetterman's shoes aren't like Air Jordans or whatever.
They're like medical shoes, man. They are.
Yeah. Like if you're gonna wear something stupid like this, you have to at least do up your shoes.
Let's see if he's wearing the same shoes anywhere else. Can we get an ID? Can we get a sneaker ID?
It really just looks like generic Nike shoes.
But yeah, the ones in this picture, he's got the extra like cush in the ball that makes me feel like those are straight up medical. Here we've got some of the the generic Nike runners.
Mm-hmm. Not sponsored.
Oh, I'm sure he's semi-sponsored at least. So it really doesn't matter what other people are wearing around him. He just looks kind of out of place. Like he looks like somebody they found like a pro wrestler on his day off. They're like, "Will you take a picture with Jimmy?" Sure thing. He's just so like they just copy pasted him in from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere he is. Even when he's wearing similar clothes to everyone around him. What in the world are these photos? All I do is type in Fetterman shoes, and I'm getting some of the best images I've ever seen in my life.
Why does it look like he has two tits? Like two sets of tits?
Yeah, he's got, the left set and the right set, If Sloth can get elected, anyone can. It's true. He also looks like he has no idea where he is. That's pretty funny. Anyway, I found that, and I quite enjoyed that. So we have main story today is that Vape Nation's back, baby. Have you seen this? You have to have seen some of this at least.
I saw a little bit of it. I don't know how I feel about it. It's kind of good on him for shitting on Hasan. Still don't like Ethan.
Yes, good for shitting on Hasan. So we've got back to back. So the first one we're gonna watch is the one that everyone's probably seen, where he's directly asking Hasan questions about Taiwan, and Hasan is running from every question that is ever asked of him. 2 feet of my juice aisle is now energy drinks. On the juice aisle? Isn't the juice aisle like half popcorn in most places? I'm trying to think. What else? It's water, juice. I guess the energy drinks. I think we only have 1 4-foot section on the juice aisle for energy drinks at most of our grocery stores. If you told me a few years ago I'd agree with Ethan twice in 2023, you wouldn't believe you. Well, get ready, because we've got 2 and 3 coming up for you today. So I hope you're stoked, and I hope you're excited and ready for this. So like I said, number 1 is going to be the one that everybody's kind of seen. So we're gonna kind of speed through the first one, and then we'll get a little deeper into the second, because I think the second is actually where I start to think, you know what? Some of Ethan's takes are a bit cringe, but overall, I think his heart's in a good place, and he understands humanity more than a lot of people give him credit for. But we'll start with him dumpstering Hasan over here, even with Diane backing him up. There's like cereal Captain Crunch energy drinks. Well, there's a berry punch vape. Yeah, was it Ghost energy drinks? Has all those pairings with like Sonic and cereal and every flavor of your childhood going on. It's It's rather terrifying. Okay, that should separate these. So I've got buzz on that one, and then this one should be
His whole bag into it.
He looks like such a stooge, man.
okay. So they're talking about Vivek Ramaswamy in this one, just to give some context as we fight.
Just
And
fucking
we are
nothing
gonna
behind those eyes. I love it. I love it.
speed it up.
Doesn't Ramaswamy also want to ban TikTok?
He
Like,
does.
I'm a fan of that.
I think
Okay, well, now I'm voting for him.
I think he's
I'm voting illegally for Ramaswamy and RFK Jr. Both of the guys that you
his
showed.
big thing is he's extremely hawkish on China, right? Like that's like the foreign
Yeah, I don't
policy
like
corner
that.
He said he
he's,
wants to preempt a war against China.
He wants to like fight against China, but he also kind of wants to like leave Taiwan to China. It's like very weird.
I do
He has, like, a
wish
very
they would
weird foreign
clarify
policy
what they
perspective
mean
on
by
it.
fight.
The obviously like xenophobic, anti-Chinese.
Xenophobic, yes, because wanting to maintain our superiority over the world, it makes us phobic of every other country. I think that's it's just obvious, right? That's how it works. Big L for Vivek not knowing GOP has been running End Department of Ed since late 70s.
Perspective is like shared commonly by the entire intelligence community, our State Department. Obviously, it's like American policy, but the whole like leave Taiwan, or first leave Taiwan alone and then give them all guns. Like make Taiwan like America, where every person in Taiwan has a weapon.
How do we feel about Taiwan, Hasan? China or not
Taiwan?
China? Or is it China or not China?
That's the American policy. Whatever the American policy is.
Just say what
whatever
the American
perspective is.
policy
You really
is.
won't say?
No,
Why
I'm
do
saying
you
it's like
say
it's
whatever
one
the
country,
American
two
policy
systems,
is?
you know?
Just say what the
No,
American
it's not.
policy
Two different
is.
countries.
Really?
Taiwan and China.
Is that according to American foreign policy?
No, what's your opinion? What's your opinion? Taiwan
Love the
independent?
My opinion on
Timpanis.
Taiwan is that Taiwan is the Chinese concept of Taiwan should remain in the hands of the people in Taiwan who
So therefore
believe,
it's independent.
who for the record, for the most part, just believe to not disrupt the ongoing relations with
Why are you being
China.
so carefully footed around
Because I know that there's gonna be a
Sensitive
subreddit.
issue.
There's gonna be a subreddit post with like a million fucking comments being like, Hasan wants everyone in Taiwan to be killed because he loves China. He's a Xi Jinping.
That's what I heard.
That's what
That-
I just.
that's
it's already
exactly
over.
what
You asked that
everybody
question,
heard.
Like, in jest, and it's gonna.
No, I
already go
was
there.
genuinely curious what you think about it.
I think that I think that overall it's contemporary history is complex. At the end of the day,
When you get asked a question, just answer the question. Don't say like, "Oh, the American, like what he thinks." I didn't ask him what he thinks. Maybe I don't know what he thinks. I asked you what you think. Just answer what you think. It's pretty straightforward.
Agree with the U.S. government.
Yeah, I agree with U.S. government, even though I hate U.S. government. Meanwhile, it's like, he's just like, oh, here's my take, and he just won't. He won't say country, not country. He'll just keep saying, it's very, difficult. It's very nuanced. It's whatever. We already give Taiwan weapons. They have, like all the Aegis stuff, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
day, if the Taiwanese citizens
Through
would
our,
ever put this up for a vote and we're like, we want to fucking be an independent nation, it's up to
The Taiwanese, what do we call it? The Institute, the American Institute in Taiwan. It's not a, it's not an embassy. It's an institute.
them. You know what I
Haven't
mean?
they
You
already
can't.
done that?
No, there is not.
No, what Hasan said is true from everything I've read. That most people in Taiwan nowadays support just keeping the status quo, like the kind of
But they are
strategic
they're-
ambiguity of
The
what's
overwhelming
going on there.
majority, the overwhelming majority's consensus opinion is that they don't want to disrupt relations with China, and they also like obviously if it was a situation between like full-blown independence versus
Ooh,
like
it's
becoming
kinda-
a Chinese state, like becoming a part of the Chinese
Well,
state.
do the people of Taiwan like pay taxes in China? Like, do they vote? In,
I don't know. I don't know
they
the
have
exact
elections.
details of that.
Do they have like travel status in China?
But the thing is, like, as far as
You
as
mean
far
all
as,
the things that would make
like,
them part of China?
as far as Chinese?
Do they
Taiwan
have
relations
any of
goes,
that?
Like the original inception of the country is
Taiwan-
is a fascist dictatorship that America recognized as the real
Ah,
China
yes.
until Richard Nixon
Fascism.
normalized relations
Famous
with China. That's where they
Chinese,
implemented the,
Taiwanese
they call it
event.
strategic ambiguity, which I call lying.
Yeah,
well,
they
it says
really-
that the current
they really
administration of
switch
Taiwan
up
maintains
a
that
lot.
Taiwan is already an independent country.
There's yes,
Thus does not have to push for any sort of formal independence.
there are well, that's because they don't want to do like a full blown
Exactly.
they don't want to disrupt the status quo. That's why they're saying that
Sure, they don't want to be
autonomy.
invaded by China.
They want autonomy.
is
while
true. They don't wanna
simultaneously,
get
being under
died.
the Chinese banner,
Seems
according
like
to
they want
international.
independence, but they just don't want to be like attacked by China.
Windblade.
Well, that's part of it for
Boom.
sure. So you understand how Taiwan?
Okay. Just in case anyone in chat, like me, was like, You know what? I don't think I've ever looked at a actual history of Taiwan. Like, I'm kind of familiar with it, but not 100%. So I did the thing that everyone should do when they encounter something that they're like, you know what? Let me get a broad overview that'll have some information. So I went and I actually looked at the Taiwan wiki page. I thought Taiwan was literally where the nationalists ended up after the Reds took over. Sounds right to me, Veritax. That is very correct. I thought they were racist or warring against each other now. Yep. Also correct. Like, it's very, it ties into everything that we enjoy, aka Japan.
Is that the fire emblem right there?
Where?
Fire emblem?
It says flag emblem.
Yeah, it's fire emblem.
It's a sun emblem.
Yeah, it's sun, fire emblem. Same thing.
All right. Taiwan. Let's get down to the actual history.
So yeah, Hasan doesn't want to say his opinion, which is that, well, Taiwan is actually part of China and it belongs to China.
His opinion a year ago is that China was awful and doing terrible things to Hong Kong and the Chinese government sucks. But here, it feels like he's like, you know, but in Taiwan, I mean, they're kind of Chinese. Like, he feels very wishy-washy about it.
He's trying as hard as possible to not say something.
It's very weird. And I just wonder if people make fun of him for it or something. So Taiwan has been settled for at least 25,000 years. Ancestors of Taiwanese indigenous peoples settled the island around 6,000 years ago. In the 17th century, large-scale Han Chinese immigration to western Taiwan began under a Dutch colony and continued under the Kingdom of Tugning. So Han Chinese, you're going to hear that term a couple times, has to do with the specific ethnic group in China that also comprised the Han Dynasty. It was like saying like the Blackfoot tribe or the Cherokee tribe. Like, it was a specific group within all of China. Because the thing that like we have to understand is anytime you say China, it's not like they're all Chinese. It's like saying that every Native American in America was the same Indian tribe. Like, no, they were all very different nations. And China was very similar. So keep that in mind. The first predominantly Han Chinese state in Taiwanese history. The island was annexed in 1683 by the Qing dynasty of China and ceded to the Emperor of Japan in 1895. So 1895, Japan owns Taiwan. Next, we have the Republic of China, which had overthrown the Qing in 1911, took control following the surrender of Japan in 1945. So from 1895 to 1945, when the bombs fell, Taiwan was Japanese, not Chinese, not Taiwanese, none of that. And Japan renounced their sovereignty over Taiwan in 1952. The immediate resumption of the Chinese Civil War. So this was the Republic of China forces. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, this is just like right after World War II.
Yeah, it's like we finished World War II, and they were like, you know what? We need to solve this problem and fight ourselves. Where you had the Chinese Communist Party going against the Republic of China.
But don't worry, the Russians had nothing to do with this.
Of course not.
The Russians had nothing to do with all these communist revolutions happening everywhere. That didn't happen.
No.
If you think the Russians had anything to do with all these people being killed, nah, you're just imagining things. These people are just rising up against their oppressors.
Yeah, it's crazy. Why would Russia have anything to do with influencing another government?
Yeah,
it's crazy. So they're in civil war, and resulted in the loss of the Chinese mainland to the communist forces, who established the People's Republic of China, and the flight of the ROC central government to Taiwan. So the Republic of China government retreated to Taiwan in 1949. So technically, Japan still hasn't said we give it up when the ROC is running to Taiwan to survive. The effective jurisdiction of the ROC has since been limited to Taiwan, Penghu, and smaller islands. In the 60s, Taiwan entered a period of rapid economic growth and industrialization called the Taiwan Miracle. Interesting. Everybody's got a silly name, like the Japanese bubble. Like everyone has like a name for their stuff.
Yeah, while basically while the communists were killing tens of millions of people in mainland China, Taiwan was not involved in that because they weren't putting those kind of practices into place.
Exactly.
So they were being successful by using technology from the rest of the world.
Yeah, it's like I don't even know if the ROC is like a good representation of the people, but just based on the fact that their country goes from being this, or their little island goes from being this like little place they escaped to being a thriving center of international trade, I'm like, yeah, they're probably doing something right.
As far as I know, Taiwan before like it was colonized basically by the ROC didn't really have much not much of a note. People didn't really think about
Japan
it.
probably just had it so they could be close to China in case they needed to.
I mean, a lot of what is because Japan took over so much of Southeast Asia in general. They were pushing to take everything, not just even if it wasn't that important, they would still take it to have it because you can obviously still use it in their worst cities there.
People forget that. There's that one, I don't know if he's an Instagram or TikTok or what his platform is, but I always see him on the shorts where he's like, ooh woo Japan, but he's like, just remember what I did. Remember me, America. And he starts going over like different things that Japan has done in the past, but now we're just like, give me anime. Far north is Manchuria. Yeah, and they like had coastal China for a while.
Yeah.
So
they were way ahead technologically ahead of China. China was basically decaying and just falling way behind with Qingdao.
Because they were all fighting each other, I think.
Yeah, they had a lot of issues, and then Japan just swooped in and just started crushing them.
Gave them a lot more issues, that's for sure.
Yeah.
The ROC transitioned from a one-party state under martial law to a multi-party democracy with democratically elected presidents since 1996. So decently recent. That's N64 birth, okay? So since the N64, Taiwan has had elections. They got an export industry, etc. The political status of Taiwan is contentious. The ROC no longer represents China as a member of the UN, because that matters. The UN voted in 1971 to recognize the PRC instead. So the PRC runs China according to the UN. But Taiwan is not really a part of that. The ROC maintained its claim of being the sole legitimate representative of China in its territory until 1991, when it ceased to regard the CCP as a rebellious group and recognized its jurisdiction over mainland China. So 91, they're like, yeah, okay, we'll just keep this going, I guess. Taiwan is claimed by the PRC, which refuses to establish diplomatic relations with countries that recognize the ROC. Of course, China doesn't want to do anything with people that want to like think that this other government that thinks it runs China. Of course not. Why would you do that? That'd be like if someone was like, oh yeah, we like Russia's like, yeah, we own Alaska now. And we're like, no, we own Alaska. No, it's not even like that. It's not even like that. It would be like if all of the Alaska Inuit tribes were like took over Alaska and we were like, no, Alaska's still ours. But we didn't have any like actual jurisdictional control over Alaska. And then if someone was like, no, we're only going to trade with the Inuits up here. And we were like, well, we're not going to trade with you if you only trade with them. I don't know. It's pretty specific, but we'll see. They have diplomatic relations. Many others maintain unofficial diplomatic ties. Yeah, we have the American Institute.
YMS is a fucking idiot.
Oh, I know.
I just saw a clip of him saying that normie anime, like, is anything that doesn't have child porn in it. And I'm not joking when I said that. I'll send it to Sir Anderson.
That's hilarious because on Sunday, J-Mac was like, I'm kind of an anime normie, but like Elfen Lied is one of my favorites. Like, that's not really a
normie anime. Yeah, that's not a normie anime. Gonna be real with you, man.
I mean, it was kind of normie back in the day, but you already had to be into anime for that. So I don't think anyone was a normie back then.
Yeah, normies weren't into anime.
Alrighty, so they're trying to promote international recognition and a Taiwanese identity into the 21st century. Both sides have moderated their positions to broaden their appeal. Okay. So some people want Chinese unification, others don't. There's our history of Taiwan. I'm glad we all are now more educated than everyone in the leftovers.
Yeah, YMS is just like a full politic brain loser.
Yeah.
He just, and his political takes are so incredibly bad. He just doesn't have any understanding of what's going on. He's so disconnected from normal people.
Oh yeah, he's I think
he's a champagne socialist.
He's going to be talking to Sitch and Adam one of these days. I don't remember which day they said, but they were like, "Oh yeah, we reached out." And he was like, "Yeah, I'll talk." And so after the EFAP conversation, they're actually gonna talk to him and see what he says.
He does all of those things you'll see every single leftist do.
Exactly.
They'll go like,
I was like, I don't know if this conversation is gonna be useful.
They go down the flow chart as, oh, that's not happening. If it's happening, it's a good thing. You should be praising this thing. That's a short version, of course, but yeah, that he does that. He just did that like 5 different times when talking to EFAP.
Oh, totally.
It's like,
and,
no,
and the other thing that he does where
yeah.
somebody says something, everyone understands what they mean, and then he takes a hyper literal translation of what was said rather
because
than
he wants
just
it to
listening
be
Drinker.
he wants it to be for his he wants to be supporting his opinion to make him right.
Like
He'll say whatever it is to make it correct.
You know, the second that he found out they were going to be talking about his video on EFAP, he went and rewatched it to try and find out what points he can use. Because like the entire time he kept saying, "Oh, just wait." He said something later that really stuck with me. And it's like, well, why were you having that opinion earlier then?
I think like whenever they got to it, then he was like, "Yeah, okay." He just like didn't say anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's just like, "Oh, okay." And he hinged all of his points, like all of his defenses. Wait, and then they're like, "That's nothing." And he's
Wait
like,
for it.
like,
Wait for it.
No, what you don't understand is what he's about to say, and it's like, well, let's just talk about what he just said. Actually, maybe we take this, in order. Oh, this is rough.
You should start ramming people more.
Yes, use my second life.
One was
Did you know you
nation
can
state,
put
right?
like the other
Malpurge
armor
and
on and it's
defeated.
just better?
Which other armor?
You can get this one called actually I forgot what it was called, but there's one that's just a bubble. It's like that bubble except it lasts for 10 seconds, so you just have to activate it yourself.
Oh, nifty.
And that one lasts for 2 seconds.
I probably have enough chips to get it.
You could also
the
reset
counter-revolutionary
it.
forces.
Yeah.
They Taiwan has been
really
a
cheap.
larger part of like China historically, and the
It has
original
been
Taiwanese clan.
See, like anyone who's like China's been a larger part of China historically. It's like, okay, you mean like the Qing dynasty, or you mean since the ROC, like they took it over?
I think it was only the Qing dynasty, yeah, because
yeah,
it was 1600s.
it's been long. It's been Japan longer than it's been Qing. Like
more recently. But the thing is, Taiwan is not a historical like Chinese territory. China for thousands of years never really cared about it. People lived there, but it wasn't.
yeah, what did we just read in 1898 or something? Let me get that exact date again.
Other things, yeah, there was like people from the Philippines that colonized it way back, just like smaller amounts of tribes.
Okay, hold on. 1683, the Qing dynasty.
Yeah,
And
Qing
then
dynasty is when they got there.
1895 was the Empire of Japan. So about 200 years it was Qing, and then for 60 years or 50 years it was Japanese. But apparently 6,000 years there have been people living there that are they're not Chinese or Japanese.
Yeah, because like Polynesians colonized like the entirety of like the Pacific.
Yeah, with their crazy little boats with like little catamaran designs.
Yeah, they just got everywhere. Everything.
Oh god, they're everywhere.
Kind of like this guy. He's fucking everywhere.
Yeah, this is Rusty. He's a bro.
Oh, wait, that's actually Rusty? Shit.
That's
yeah, you get to
Rusty's
fight
back.
Rusty.
That explains why he's
Ooh,
kicking
ouch.
your ass.
He
Oh,
used
Jeepers.
this. I'm pretty sure his is called assault armor. I don't remember what the barrier I was thinking of was called. Yeah, he took a lot of damage.
He takes a lot of
Damn.
damage.
Claim was that the entire mainland China belonged to what is now known as Taiwan. And that was the American foreign
This
policy.
map
position
actually
as well,
helps you out a
because,
lot
China
because if
was
you miss,
communist
you could hit a
and
building
Taiwan
and still
was
hit
a
him.
fascist military dictatorship.
Mhm.
So they were like, oh yeah, we're just gonna completely ignore China until Nixon normalized relations with China, and then Taiwan became a democratic country, of course.
So it's all
with
Nixon's
still a lot
fault.
of reactionary opinions.
Yeah.
Did he just
overall,
say
but, like, that's
Taiwan was
gone away
fascist?
in recent years?
Yes.
Yeah,
he's
he
been saying
said
that.
Taiwan is fascist a few times, even
Yeah.
though it's a democratic republic. Apparently, they call themselves a republic and
Well,
they
the
use
thing is,
democratic voting.
Well, yeah, originally the fascist part, quote unquote, is because it's a one-party state because it was one of the.
It was the
political-
one party that got chased out during like the revolution.
Because
This is like if the Confederates got chased down to Cuba and they were just hanging out. They're like, well, this is ours now.
Yeah, like later on they introduced. I don't know how long it was for the republic. I think it was like 30 years or whatever. But they became a democratic republic where they introduced more parties.
In
Like, more parties
'91, I
were
think we
allowed.
saw, yeah.
Yeah, it was like about 30 years or something.
Military governance before they had elections. Yeah, from
Yeah, because they were still at war
from
with China.
47 to 91, I believe it was.
Yeah, like it's
military.
because they were still at war with China.
Oh, he's got fire. I don't like the fire.
The real reason I hate the fire is because it just blocks your vision. It's really annoying.
Yeah, this flight's annoying too.
Yeah, he's out in this fight and he just like flies around everywhere spraying you with the fire stuff. And it's like, gosh, yeah.
Did you die already? Give me my reloads. Dang it.
Oh yeah, I got Armored Core, the original one installed, and I got a mod somebody made for like the PS, for like a couple of the old ones, including Dolphin, a PS1 emulator, Duck Station, and PCS X2.
Yeah.
So you can import mouse aim, and
Oh, nice.
basically it's on a per game basis that will rebind controls so that you can control the movement, like the camera movement with your mouse.
Super weird. I wonder if it's
Because-
just replacing mouse movement with, like, is it just being like,
Because yeah,
oh, hit
it
toggle
changes
for
to
a period of
inputs.
time?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because yeah, I don't know exactly what he does, but basically you get the game started, then you start the program, and then you press a button, and then it locks your mouse into there, so it starts taking commands from your mouse movement.
Gotcha.
I'm pretty sure it treats it like joystick entry. That's usually I think that's how it should be getting translated. Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
cool. It's obviously, since you're playing a PS1 game, it's pretty rough, but or yeah, it is still rough, but it's better than using the shoulder buttons to look up and down.
You're right.
So yeah, I prefer that.
Years. I think the younger generations have a different perspective on the matter. But overall, like historically speaking, Taiwan and China being the same country, it has been around for much longer than, like, as Elon Musk said, Hawaii being an American state. Much, much longer.
Taiwan is already independent. That's what I'm saying. People don't want a formal declaration.
He's
because they
just
don't wanna
looking. He's
fucking
like,
war.
I've been googling
But
this, and it
they're
says
not wanting to be
they're
Hong Kong,
not
to be
Chinese.
like, consumed like the Chinese.
No, they very much now see
You know what, in
themselves
Hong Kong?
as their own
What
state.
happened in Hong Kong?
Am I saying the right place?
What happened in Hong Kong?
What happened in Hong Kong?
Oh, I'm just a political commentator. I don't know what happened in Hong Kong. I don't remember how China walked in and just took everything over and input their police state and started arresting dissidents. I don't know. I don't know
He's
what you're
gonna
talking
focus on the fact that Hong Kong was always gonna go back to China and not actually talk about how horrible China was in the Hong Kong situation.
about. Yeah. How they just like started arresting a bunch of people, you know?
You
They were
are.
independent, and then they got fucking eaten.
They were
up.
not independent.
Oh, they had some rights. They were less independent than
Yeah,
Taiwan,
Hong
and then they
Kong-
got eaten
Hong
up.
Kong was bought by you know.
Are you saying the people of Hong Kong did not want to be?
There were certainly people that did
independent?
not want to be a part of China. Absolutely. That is 100%
A lot,
correct.
most of them.
A lot of
The people
people
there took a lot of pride in not being.
A lot of people enjoyed having Western civil liberties while simultaneously like being in a unique position. But now that China already does regular trade with the rest of the world, because like at a time in like the 90s, Hong Kong was seen as like this prosperous middle ground. But since the 2000s, like because of an insane amount of development and insane trade relations with the rest of the planet, there are tier 1 cities that are even larger and have more economic activity than Hong Kong. And
So, is the way you judge whether or not a country is good or not, whether or not it has a big city with a lot of quote economic things.
That's what Hasan Biker says.
I feel like when the like
You know, that doesn't sound very.
it wasn't long ago they were welding doors shut on apartment complexes. Like I don't know, man.
Yeah, I feel like that was just like 2 years ago, a year and a half ago.
Yeah. You also can't separate this because there are some in DC that thought by encouraging the capitalist economy of China, they would come to the light. Yeah, and that's the other thing that everybody always like. The Chinese Communist Party is still pretty capitalist. It's just owned by the government instead of being
Yeah, because
like
now
the
China's
people of China don't own
fascist.
anything, which, as I understand it, is what communism would require.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's unfair to call China fascist now. That's the closest interpretation of their government.
Makes
Their
sense
actual
to me.
governmental structure in terms of their heads of state and how the power flows between them. I assume isn't
Technically,
the
that's
same.
fascism.
Yeah, I assume it isn't the same as like Nazi Germany or Italy, but I'd say fascism is the closest definition or the best fitting definition for their government.
Makes sense to me.
of itself. And there was always a timeline where Hong Kong was going to be given back to China. They just accelerated it by like 2 decades. if
Oh
I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
they just
'Cause that
sped
was
it
a
up by
lease on Hong Kong.
marching in.
So the people of Hong Kong, there were certainly a lot of people in Hong Kong that did not want
Regardless
to
of
the But overall, if you look at the situation in Hong Kong right now, it's like they claimed that it was going to be devastating, and that has not happened.
Not that we know of, because they can't. They have no freedom of speech anymore.
Okay,
They can't talk. They lost
that
the
part
right.
is true. You're right.
What am I? What are we
I
saying?
will not.
Please don't overtake
Prison,
him,
I
bro.
do not agree
That's true,
with
that's true.
China's
Oh, it's not literally on fire, so it's not devastating to them.
social or civil
I'm
liberties.
sorry, they're not
policies.
like
I do not agree with that at all.
people
I
from
don't live in China.
street
I live in
lamps,
America.
so, like-
However, having said that, you can just go to Hong Kong and you can just go to every part of China pretty much.
Yeah,
and
just
see
go.
for yourself. This is no longer like the North Korea style hermit kingdom where like no information comes out. Like we have
Regardless.
we have a shit ton of Chinese people that live in America. and a shit
Regardless,
ton
bro,
of
it's
Americans
not
live in
that
China.
they had rights. They don't have rights now. They lost a lot of rights. But whatever. I mean, you're. This is interesting. That you're very soft. You're very soft-footed around the issue of China. You love China.
I think China.
If you
is
love
their-
China so much, why don't you marry it?
Yeah, marry
once
it.
again,
Yes,
I
Vape
don't live there.
Nation.
I choose to live here because of the issues that you just brought up, which is civil liberties being taken away, no freedom of speech, walled garden internet.
I love how it's just like such a. Okay, so you love that, like you're not saying that Taiwan isn't China, so you like China? Is that what you're telling me? You like China? You think they did good in Hong Kong because it's not burning? You like it? Like it's such a no duh question. Like that is a Vape Nation question. Oh.
There are certainly parallels to the American state or the Western world that there are certainly comparisons that you could make, but overall, that kind of mechanism of control is one that I do not appreciate personally, which is why I choose to live here. But as far as like cruelty, oppression, like what you're talking about with respect to Hong Kong, the promises that Western media overall made about like how China was going to crush Hong Kong under its like ruthless, oppressive thumb has not happened.
What do you
I don't think that
mean?
was the
It
point. I
feels
think
like
the
it's
point was just that
happened.
there's- Whoever was, vocal about wanting to maintain certain rights in Hong Kong was probably thrown in a secret prison and never heard from again.
I mean, certainly there was political
Yeah.
dissidents are
Yeah.
definitely
Not the
political
best.
dissidents are definitely like
Taken out back.
they're not killed or anything, but
What do you mean they're not killed or anything?
Yeah, they go for a beer.
Hassan agrees with them.
Who
being killed
so
and everything.
confidently says they don't kill dissidents? How can you say that?
Because China absolutely kills dissidents.
Oh, they don't
I mean-
kill them. They just lock them up and stop feeding them. That's all.
Ask him if the U.S. does it.
And did we not see the fact that they kidnapped basically tens of thousands of people and brainwashed them in camps? And what was the province that yours were from? I don't remember what the name was. It Xinjiang.
I
It was
don't know.
It was their. It was in the northwest, but I don't remember what it was called. Yeah, that just didn't happen though. Hassan doesn't recognize
No.
that as something that happened.
That can't have happened.
He said
It's
that was a
China.
lie. Yeah.
That's a lie from the American government trying to tell you things rather than you actually, like, do you know that it happened? Do you think he'd be this charitable if America reopened Guantanamo? He'd be like, well, I mean, we don't know if they're torturing people in there. Like, is that what his take would be? No. He'd be like, this is terrible. But no, it's excuse me, it's okay that China did it.
back. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
they're not good on that stuff. 100%.
But well, anyway, I was just curious. I didn't mean to open a can of worms, but you say you think the people of Taiwan whatever they want, and it seems to me that the people of Taiwan want independence. So I'm right with you there, brother. Independence for Taiwan.
I
Yeah,
think one nation, two systems.
One nation, two systems,
that's not even
Which
close.
is the current.
like Israel and Palestine.
Oh my god, you don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Come on.
I just
now.
I just fucking.
What is now? I want to know what Hasan's take is on Palestine.
Well, you should do this.
He thinks that they need free Palestine because Israel's a fascist state that's murdering people.
I have like no real knowledge about the areas of Israel and Palestine. Like, is there not like enough room to just like, I mean, we looked and the West was like, hey, we're just gonna make this place for Israel now, and we stuck all the Jews there. Can we not just do the same with Palestine? Be like, well, we're gonna give Palestinians this place and just like chop another little
Well,
section
and the
of
thing is, the
land up?
Palestinians don't want to move. I think that's the main thing, actually.
But aren't they currently in two separate places? I don't understand why they don't have their.
There's
own little
the
government in
small, like the
north.
West Bank that is very contested, right?
Yeah, they fight over that one, but why? Like,
And
why
then
can't
there's
we
another
just
part
go
of
in and be like,
Palestine,
hey,
yeah.
this is where the line is? Like, they're not gonna fight us.
Well, I mean,
First of all,
Israel's continued to push the line further. That's
Oh, is
why.
that the problem?
Yeah,
Should we just have to tell
Israel's-
Israel, like,
Israel's
back
ta-
up a little bit, all right?
Yeah, Israel's taken more territory since they were founded.
Interesting.
Well, yeah, because everyone attacked them.
Yeah,
And
That
that
is
happened.
true.
That happened multiple times.
exactly. I'm not
Gotcha.
gonna shit on a nation for taking land after they win a war that they didn't.
That
even
is,
start.
yeah. If they didn't
And
start
really,
it,
the big thing is that they're complaining about they're losing a war, and Palestine is resorting to terrorist tactics to try to stop them
Yeah.
from beating their ass.
gotcha.
That's
They're
generally
kicking
what
our ass,
happening.
man. We
That's
gotta
generally
fight
what's
them.
I
happening.
still like. There's got to be enough room for us to not.
Oh, there
Yeah,
is.
that'd
They
be
just
an
hate each other and they want each other
They
dead.
just hate each other. Maybe we just put them on opposite sides of Iran or something. Like this is our new Palestine, and it's like on the other side of like Afghanistan and Iran.
When there's plenty of room in Syria.
I'm just trying to get you.
That part is like literally. I mean, that is a. I mean, that's an advocacy in the opposite direction, in my opinion, where
Independence for Taiwan. You heard it here from Hasan.
because remember, like the overwhelming majority of people living in Taiwan are still Han Chinese.
Mhm.
Therefore, despite the fact that it's a separate
Oh.
country, it's still like the same people.
Is it the same people? The way he says they're still Han Chinese
Ethnicity?
kind
Yeah,
of
they are.
negates the fact that they are a completely different government that was at war with themselves. Like there was a Chinese civil war. This would be like saying like, oh, that island that we chased all the Confederates to. Well, I mean they're still American. Like that. Would you
Yeah,
feel the
it-
same way if it was that?
He's correct insofar as they're ethnically Han Chinese, yeah.
Yeah, which is an ethnic subset of Chinese. It doesn't even like when you say, "Oh, they're
Well, I mean,
still
Han
Han
Chinese
Chinese."
is by far the majority.
Most people hear just like, "Oh, Chinese," but like that's not really what it means.
Well, the thing is, there are plenty of other ethnicities, but the vast majority of Chinese people are Han Chinese.
Vast majority. How many would you
Yeah.
say? 90%.
I'd say it's probably
I actually
around
have no idea what the
60
stat
to
is.
70%. We'd look it up.
How many
Probably can't
Han
look it up.
Chinese live in Canton?
How many of them live in Canton? Less.
Canton? I don't know. I don't know if they're different. Like,
As far as I remember.
I don't know if
but-
they're geographically located or not.
But the thing is, the Han Chinese is basically the main area, the highly populated area around Beijing, all the way along the coast, all the way down to the south, where
Fujian
Hong
and
Kong
all
is.
That's right. I know Chinese provinces. I once ran a tea company.
Yeah, all the way, like basically the entire eastern half of China.
Got it.
Like all the most populated areas of China are majority Han Chinese.
Insofar as they're ethnically translated.
The language is the
Ukraine.
same. People will say
Ukraine belongs to Russia for that exact reason.
I
I
believe
don't think Ukraine
according
belongs to Russia
looking at the
because
Wikipedia article,
Ukrainian.
according to China, 1.2 billion, 91% of their population is Han Chinese.
91. Look at, I was almost there.
So yeah, they said China claims that yes, the vast majority, not even close.
Yeah. What about that shitty wall?
Ukrainian nation state, the Ukrainian nation state project, there are similarities. You're not wrong about that. But the Ukrainian nation state project, as a well-defined nation state, has always has been around for much longer than like Taiwan being an independent nation state.
So
Has it?
the people's entitlement to freedom.
Hold
Well, you
on.
can make a fair argument for Crimea being a
Taiwan
separate
longer
country,
than
but like
independent
what I'm hearing is
Ukraine.
that it's just a function of how long, how old
I mean,
the
I
culture
suppose
is,
if you don't want to
how compelled they are to
recognize
freedom.
older
on. It's
not- I don't-
governments, because
Hold
if
on.
you want to talk about Ukraine, I would count governments that existed before World War II as well. Even though the thing is, Ukraine had been historically conquered by many different larger nations, usually between conglomerates of Poland and Russia, basically large Poland and Russia and Russian empires.
Ukraine gained independence in 1991 as the Soviet Union dissolved.
Yeah, that was it becoming the modern incarnation.
But even before then, Ukrainian Soviet, because the USSR was, it would have been like saying, oh, I live in Washington, and then the USSR is America, right?
Yeah, it was very much its own thing inside of the USSR.
Right. But they... Okay. Russian Revolution.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, the Kievan
Holodomor
Rus and Galicia Volhynia were the
was in World War II.
older kingdoms before it was conquered by.
Anyway, Ukraine
powers.
1991, Taiwan 1947. That like
Yeah.
those are those are wildly different times. Why would you say Ukraine's been separate for longer? I don't think you can say that.
I don't think that it's like those two concepts are not the two concepts at play here. Like, it's not like entitled to freedom versus what was the other thing that you said?
Well, it just seems like you're talking about like their national, they have some kind of national heritage or identity.
Well, the thing that I was mentioning there, the reason why I mentioned that is because you were talking about making a comparison between like Israel Palestine,
No, I was
being
being more
that being that the same people, I think makes that kind of, especially existing under the construct of having like one nation state regardless, with freedom of travel in between. It's literally like a mile off the coast, you know what I mean, of China. Having all of that factors into
how wide
like,
is
whether
the
there's going
Strait
to
of
be
Taiwan?
assimilation or not. And
I actually
there's no
don't
even
know.
there's no need for assimilation even. They have like normal trade relations with Taiwan, you know what I mean? It's like that's why it's considered to be a delicate political conversation.
It
but one
definitely
that,
looks close,
currently
like
the
on a
currency
map,
benefits both
but I
sides.
don't-
So if China
I haven't
takes
looked at the
military
scale.
action against Taiwan, as some people speculate may happen.
Yeah, I mean, that would not be good. I don't think that would be good. I think that would be really, really terrifying. It would be disruptive for the entire global economy as well.
Right, but I'm just mean like from whose army are you joining?
Socialist not knowing history.
No,
I'm
mine
shocked.
is
I'm fucking moving to
Taiwan?
I'm moving to an undisclosed
Okay.
location. I'm moving.
Okay, what did he just say? How far was it off of China? Did he
He
say
said like a mile. I think it's bigger than mile.
It is 110 miles.
Yeah.
Not that that's like on a global scale a huge difference, but still, it's like 100 miles away. What else is 100
That is a
miles away?
multi-day sail back in the day.
180 kilometers wide. Freedom units. How many Texas can I fit between the Taiwan Strait? None? Okay. So they're right next door.
If you fold it in half, too.
3 times, I think, maybe. How wide is Texas?
And if you you got, like, edges.
773 miles across. Okay. So if you
just-
fold it in
just
half,
fold it
that's
4 times.
370. Fold it in half again, you're at 150. Yeah, so fold it at least twice and a little bit more.
to an undisclosed location.
I'm on the
I'm
front
gonna be on a
line.
fucking ship.
Whoever has the best
streaming.
computer chips, I'm fighting for.
Okay.
I'm a chip boy
Well,
myself.
If it wasn't for America, China would have some pretty solid chip technology.
Oh my gosh. So another dodge and then America bad. What side are you fighting for? None of them. I'm running away. And then
And then from
followed
his base,
by,
he's gonna start saying how
oh,
America should
America
stop.
made Chinese chips bad. You know how much technology China has stolen and not been able to replicate? Like, they steal tech all the time, and they still get it wrong. Wider than a wide Trump edit. I love the Lofty you posted that golf edit of Trump in comparison to Biden falling over.
It was so funny.
That was hilarious. Someone was like, oh, look, Biden can stretch. And they're like, let's see if Trump can do this. It's
Then it
just
shows like Trump juggling using a
like golf
club
balls and
golf
stuff.
balls.
Yeah. just killing it on the golf course, and then it shows Biden just fall over like as he's walking. Oh, it's funny.
But America's like regularly trying to stop that process. Like they went to the Netherlands and be like, you can't sell China your chip technology, which is fucking insane if you ask me.
It's incredible the takes in chat. How many people are like, just the
Ooh, the chat already.
the polarization of this topic. It's fucking insane.
Well, of course there's going to be polarization on the topic because
I don't
American,
understand why there's
American media has
polarization
been
on
gearing
it.
There's
people to
polarization
be
because
across
a
the
lot of
board
them
like
are my family.
vicious, no matter what, to any foreign adversary. China being the main foreign adversary now. So people are going to be very passionate in their defense and start saying, we care about the people in Taiwan. You're not talking about the people in Taiwan. You don't
So
care
it's
about them.
it's the media. If it weren't for the media's propaganda, people would not be siding with Taiwan.
Yeah, I mean, think about it this
war
way.
in there.
Why the fuck does no one care about Yemen? You know what I mean? Why? Because Saudi Arabia is the one, our ally.
Why does nobody care about Yemen? Does anybody have a guess?
Because they're Islamic terrorists.
Can you point to Yemen on a map?
I know exactly where Yemen
Oh.
is. It's directly below Saudi Arabia on the southern coast of the
They
subcontinent.
still talking Taiwan? Kinda.
You only know that because you play E4 or whatever.
That's true.
Alex Moore cares about Yemen. Alex Moore, why do you care about Yemen?
I don't care about Yemen because they have no strategic or economic advantage for us.
Alex pronounces it Yaman.
Yaman.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so if anyone's curious, here's Yemen down here at the base of Saudi Arabia.
Yemen and Oman.
Oh man.
It's Oman.
Yeah, I know.
All the yes men in Yemen.
Yeah, Yemen is basically getting
Oh.
kind of constantly
West
assaulted
Bank,
by
okay.
Saudi Arabian-backed agitators.
See that straight? This straight right here?
Because Saudi Arabia wants to control Yemen because obviously it's beneficial for them. It doesn't have
Oh, it
any
is so
interest for the
beneficial
US.
for him. Like,
It is. It's Djibouti right next
has a
to
wonderful
Yemen.
spot to be in.
Yeah, it has some really great. Yeah, because of its location to manage the sea.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Makes
this
it
the
way
strait
easier.
that boat got stuck in?
No, it was up.
It was the one up to the north here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could double check where that was. I'm assuming it was he got caught or they got caught in the Suez.
Yeah,
It'd
it
be a
was
big
a
boat
Suez
if we
Canal.
got caught down here.
couple hundred miles.
Couple hundred
I mean, that's
miles
the Red
across.
Sea, so there's probably more left.
What?
More left.
What are you talking about? The Suez Canal? Do you not know where the Suez Canal is?
What are you saying, Michael?
I may be tripping.
Michael,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
I've had a
That
little
was
bit
the
of drink.
Suez Canal. Okay.
Just a little bit though.
What do you
Anyway.
mean? It's a little bit to the left, out in the Sudan desert. That's the Suez Canal.
No, up and to the left, dude. What do you mean?
You said to the left. You
Yeah, I
didn't
said to
say
the
up.
left, like up and to the left.
Aqaba. Anyway,
didn't
so
say
outside
correctly.
of, it being sad when humans that are innocent die, like what do we care about Yemen for? If you block the Strait, the Suez Canal is basically useless to Western interests. Okay. So there's that. Is that a
And
threat?
the only interest we actually have in Yemen is the Suez
Trade?
Canal not being stopped. Basically, we need that channel to keep going.
As long as it's
Otherwise,
open, we're fine.
we don't care otherwise because Saudi Arabia doesn't have any interest in getting rid of it either. Because they use it
Oh,
for
yeah.
trade. Because it's really important for
if they
their
got
trade.
rid of it, they can't get their oil out.
Yeah. They send a lot through pipelines, but yeah, it's really useful to have it.
Yeah. Never remove a method just because you use a different style. Yemen dudes make great subs.
I don't remember if there's a religious
Every
difference between
time
Yemen and
Fansite speaks,
Saudi Arabia.
I kind of picture Tree of Logic. You guys ever seen Tree of Logic?
No.
Big, loud, black conservative Dom. She's hilarious, but I get these little hints sometimes when Fansite speaks that make me think of that. All right, tell me about Yemen.
It looks
Saudi
like
Arabia
they
is the
do
one
have
doing
a
the
decent
genocide in
amount
Yemen.
of
You've never seen
Shia
people get this
Muslims.
passionate.
What kind of subs? The subs.
About
Well, I think-
Yemen.
I
Most
think
people get this
Taiwan's
passionate about
more-
Syria
I think Taiwan has more relevance to the United States, like in
Ex-
terms of economical and social.
Yeah, that was developed.
Well, that's only
designed-
natural that people would care more about something that affects them more. I don't think Yemen.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I just don't think Yemen affects.
But it's still people. There's still people that
No,
are
I-
being
Oh,
mercilessly
still
slaughtered, whereas
people.
no one is
I'm
being
not-
slaughtered in Taiwan in a similar capacity, and yet there are way more passionate because,
I'm not saying it's
like
right
you
or wrong.
said,
I mean,
it is designed to have this kind of
and you think that if the only
Manufacturing
reason
consent.
people care about Ukraine is because of the media,
It's such a whataboutism.
100%.
nobody would care.
Yeah, of course.
anybody care
What
about
about Yemen?
That's
What
a great
about
question.
Ukraine?
No.
We're talking
No
about
one gives a shit about Georgia.
Taiwan.
That's crazy.
Just say
on.
something.
He
Well,
doesn't
I mean,
wanna
what about
say it.
Europe? They
Trying
seem to
to
care about
do-
Ukraine a lot.
It's the similar principle. Media is still
Okay.
media everywhere. around the
Oh,
world.
I mean,
It plays a very
Ukraine is
significant role in
well,
people's
hold
lives
on.
in
Ukraine
manufacturing.
border.
fan site meant submarine sandwiches. Oh man, that's hilarious. Would we care about Russia if the media didn't talk about it too? I mean, the typical person, like this is the postmodern thing. It doesn't exist if technology doesn't say that it exists. And there's some fun books that go into that, like White Noise and stuff. But the idea that some Joe Schmo would know anything about what's going on in Ukraine or Yemen or even Taiwan is insane if there wasn't a news story about it. This is why we have journalists. This is why we have news outlets. This is why we have people that go to places and figure out what's happening on the ground, because not everybody can get all of that information. Say what you will about the modern news cycle and or you know, it has its problems, but still we need somebody to be their job to go find info and bring it back. So we wouldn't know if it didn't exist. Now, sometimes we overreact, sometimes we underreact, but also like if Taiwan was getting bombarded by China and we're like, oh no, we need our 4090s, we're gonna stop that from happening, and we roll in, there's a reason why we care, because every one of us uses like their chips. They do what, 90% of chip production in the world, 80% of chip production in the world. Even if we could produce enough chips to keep us going, like there's stuff that we order internationally that would get slowed down because they don't have enough chips to get stuff going. So it would be a catastrophic global event if we couldn't get Taiwanese chips anymore. So of course we care.
Honestly, even more than that, we don't want China expanding because they're a global enemy.
Yeah, you stay in
They're-
your borders, China.
Yeah, like that's a bigger reason, is because Taiwan is the perfect place to cut them off from continuing their expansion, like their direct expansion into other territories.
Yeah, what comes next? Manila? We're just gonna be like, oh well, I mean, the Philippines are kind of like Chinese people. Like what is the next argument? Like
They
we
would
gotta
start
stop them
going for
somewhere.
Vietnam, but honestly, I don't think they could take Vietnam. I think they would be able to.
I think
have
Vietnam proved that.
Yeah, I think China would be able to have an occupied territory in Taiwan, but they probably wouldn't be able to fully control it. I think they would be able to use that still. And you know how it's split, like in Israel, right? Because it's like split between Palestine and Israel. You'll have the holdouts there. It's really hard to dig them out.
It'll still be guerrilla warfare for a while.
Yeah. But Vietnam, I think there's just too many people, and they're too xenophobic.
They're actually xenophobic too. They're not like this fake xenophobia that he thinks that Americans have. Americans just don't like what China does economically, that they've been told that it does. They're like, China takes our jobs, they take our tech. Like we have these ideas of what China does. You know, whether they actually do or don't do that in everybody's everyday life, but like we just sort of hate this idea of what they're doing. Whereas like you go to Vietnam, you go to Japan, like Japan hates China because their tourists suck ass. Like there's very big reason there. China's already going after the Philippines, creating artificial islands to expand their borders and steal Philippines oil. I knew about the islands and the oil. I don't know that I ever equated that with them trying to take over the Philippines. But I guess choking out their major resource would be pretty damn detrimental at the end of the day if that's happening. There are also those who think a USA versus China direct war That's a World War III scenario. Not saying I'm a favorite one, but over the other, by the way. I mean, China's not gonna. Who would China sell stuff to, right? Like, I don't. There's so much stuff that they make, and I get that they like ship things internationally and like everybody buys from China, but like America is such a consumer that if you were like, that's like a place, like a guy that sells hot dogs outside of a hardware store, and he has this one general contractor that always shows up and buys like 50 hot dogs every day for his whole crew, and then he just one day he's like, you know what? You're not allowed to shop here anymore. Meanwhile, that's the guy that's putting his kid through college. Like, I don't think China's going to do that.
There's Europe, and I mean, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but Georgia is not really in such a geographically, strategically important location as Ukraine.
Okay.
Well, I'm just explaining why people might care more about Ukraine than Georgia. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying
Still
why.
people. It's the people
I'm
that are
not
being
saying it's not
ruthlessly
people.
slaughtered.
I'm just
Yes, the great argument. Still people. Of course, I forgot. Still people. You know, this is classic trolley problem, and Hasan won't like go into it. But if you had a trolley problem, and on one side of the trolley was Ukraine, and the other side of the trolley was Georgia, which way is that lever getting thrown is going to stop depending on whether it's people, because it is still people, and start depending on what those people bring to you on a global scale.
saying, because your theory is that the
Also, this idea that nobody cared about Georgia is ridiculous. People cared about Georgia. I remember people caring about Georgia.
That was before my time.
Were you conscious during wow, what's the C word? Not Croat. Is it
Clinton?
Cremator? No.
Crimea?
Crimea, that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
People cared about that.
Yeah, people cared about that. People cared about Georgia in the same way, where it was like, stop! But it was like not important enough to like send money and help them fight because they didn't really fight.
But the thing is, they couldn't really protect Crimea because it was already cut off and Russia just walked in.
Mm-hmm. Whereas like Ukraine has like they got a fighting chance. They're still fighting. They got that F-35 now.
There's a lot more territory that they're trying to take in Ukraine.
It's a lot of territory. It's ambitious, to say the least.
support for Ukraine and Taiwan is essentially manufactured, that it wouldn't exist.
And that's something
it
I was
shouldn't
also thinking about
I'm
as
not saying
well
it
when it
shouldn't
came
exist.
to
I'm
that,
simply
like
stating
before
that
they invaded, is that they could have just kept chipping away and they were going to eventually get what they wanted, but they thought they could win the war convincingly.
Yeah.
It didn't turn out as well as they thought. I mean, maybe this is good enough for maybe this is good enough for Russia, but I assume they thought it was going to go easier. That's what I think it is, because they already had a pretty big advantage of the fact they were continually pushing Ukraine back, because they already had occupied territories in Ukraine under friendly, basically effectively their control,
Right.
under their counter or their like revolutionaries.
Ukraine has a lot of cheap high tech too. Lots of companies outsource to Ukraine. You know what else Ukraine has that like nobody thought about?
Food?
You ever heard of Tool? Do you know what Tool is?
A band?
No, not the band. The material. I
No.
don't even remember how you're supposed to spell it. Tulle. This frilly material. This stuff. Does this look familiar?
This
to
stuff
you?
Hasan wears in his dresses?
Yeah, probably. He probably has a glittery tool on him right as he's speaking. This stuff is like primarily made in Ukraine for some reason. Like the
Its
tool
price has
industry got
skyrocketed.
shut down when the war started.
I assume that's probably it's probably made from some plant they grow in Ukraine.
Some kind of weird textile weave technique they use and just nobody else cares. Maybe it is a specific thing they harvest it from, but yeah, it's just
I would
it's sort of a
assume
weird
if
mesh
it's
fabric.
only made in Ukraine, it's probably just they've always made it, or they've had the ability to make it for a while, so nobody else really challenged it.
Yeah, we didn't bother because we can get cheap tool from Ukraine.
Yeah.
I'm simply stating
Yeah,
that
it doesn't matter.
It's manufactured.
the
People only care
tremendous
about it
amount-
because they've been tricked to caring about it.
It's not tricked, but dude, like, normal people don't think about foreign policy. Are you saying that you don't think that normal people's opinions about like international matters are shaped by what they see on the news and what's prioritized?
I'll give
by them?
you a better
Of
example.
course it is.
Hold on, because I'm being double teamed now, so I need to.
The follow-up question is that bad? if people's opinions are being shaped by the news, is that bad? I don't think it's bad. Just depends on what the news is focusing on at the end of the day.
Of course it is. But this implication that
Oh
you're
my
like, if
God,
you say
that's
nobody
Kanye.
cares about Taiwan or Ukraine because of the media, it implies that, you
It's
know,
Raven.
the support for those two countries
On
or care for
borrowed
those two countries is
wings.
like, you know, manufactured. That it's really not sincere. That's what it sounds like.
You jumped to that. Nobody
I'm
said
sorry.
No, I am saying
No,
that.
yeah,
I think,
he is saying
Yeah,
that.
the
I'm saying
Ravens
that
license
the
you
support
took
for the
wasn't dead,
overwhelming majority of
apparently.
Americans,
Yeah,
or any
manufactured,
country
not
that
authentic.
any country that the United
That
States of
is
America has a
bullshit.
genuine
They
interest in is
ejected out of their
manufactured in
neck.
either direction. It can be manufactured carelessness and inconsideration, like being inconsiderate and ruthlessly violent at certain points, which is the example I was going to use with 9/11 and what we did post 9/11. Or it could be manufactured in the other direction, where it's like, this is the just war. This is the just war that we have to fight, like we did in Vietnam originally, when there was
That wasn't-
need to generate
that was
popular
the
support
thing. It
for
was
whatever
like,
kind
oh,
of
let's
action America consistently takes. Now,
communism.
I'm not denying that propaganda exists.
Yeah, then
but I am
it's like-
saying that like the comparison of Ukraine to Georgia is not. It's not apples to oranges. That's all I'm saying. It's not.
What do you mean by this? That it's
Ukraine borders like mainland Russia or Europe.
not? Okay.
Europe cares a lot about it.
Okay. I would say that it's probably more. I would say that in Europe, there's probably more of a not controversy necessarily, but
And do you
a
think
more
people are going to care if
divisive issue in, I
Kyrgyzstan
think Europe
gets
than it is in
invaded?
America, most likely.
It's also like, you know,
Huh?
Do you think people are going to care if Kyrgyzstan gets invaded?
People don't even know where that is.
No. They
Not
know-
even like a
they
point
recognize
to
if-
it on a map and they get kind of close, but they're still off. Like, I don't think people even like know that it's on the map.
Hey, if you ask them about Turkmenistan, they'd be like, "What is? Where
Is that the place that Borat went to? I keep getting stuck under stuff with my nose. It sucks.
Yeah.
Come on, give me some.
You got this. Take him out.
I got my super shield.
He didn't have this.
No, I didn't have it.
no, not
Because-
the best
because look-
precedent when like tyrants start land grabbing in Europe. Generally
I don't
doesn't
disagree
have a
with
good
that.
precedent.
I agree with you. I think
I'll say
that
a
I think
tool
that in
So I
apparently
understand why
doesn't
people
have
don't
completely
like it.
anything
unjustifiable,
unique in
and it's also even
It's
if you're
just how
like
it's
pro
made.
Russia, pro Vladimir
It's
Putin,
just how
anti
it's
NATO,
made,
right?
okay.
Even if you're all of those things, it's
Yeah.
a laughably
Interesting.
it is a laughably idiotic thing to do, because all you've done is now galvanize NATO support in Europe and justified it. Because that was the entire reason for NATO's existence, is to stop the USSR, stop communism from thriving. And obviously, Russia is a very different country than the
Maybe.
USSR was, and is no longer ideologically aligned with communism at all. It is a state that Western capitalists basically redesigned and propped up oligarchs, including people like Vladimir Putin. So. Despite all of that, it's still utilized
That's
as
not
a,
how that worked
as
at
a
all,
protection
by the way.
racket. That
No, you don't think that's
basically
how it worked?
justified its
But
existence
No,
of by
But
that's
justifying
Hasan,
not-
man,
that's
he's
not
a
what
political
happened.
man.
Unjustifiable
Told me
act
that's how it
invading
works.
Ukraine.
Yeah, that's not what happened.
So it
The
is a,
Western
it's a
capitalists
strategic one, even if you're, like,
redesigned
pro-Russia.
Russia.
I just
No,
think that I just think people
that's
are
not
capable
what
of caring about
happened.
it without
Well, I mean, I care
being
about
like,
it.
you know,
I care about it.
people can
I-
sincerely care about it, even though, you know, you think it's unfair that people didn't care as much about Georgia. You know, that's my point. as well.
It's not necessarily just not caring about Georgia. My opinion on this is that we, as a nation,
No,
here in
Russia's
America
not
and all around the world,
communist. The Soviet Union collapsed because they literally couldn't manage their country anymore. They were so far behind technologically, they could not keep their country together and all their apparatuses. So all these different nations like Ukraine decided they wanted out and they didn't want to be controlled from Russia anymore.
Well, and you think that, like, even if we showed up and tried to help them, like, build their government, do you think that that changed anything about the previous administration that was probably running everything? Like,
Also, yeah, it's
I
like the
so
same
doubt
the
that.
same families and everything were still were in charge of Russia, like at the end of the Soviet Union now. It's like all these same kind of people.
Come on.
Just furious clicking.
Yep. I'm like, I can't see my reloads, so I'm just hoping. I'm just hoping every time.
Just
Come on, baby.
Did you know that in the original Armored Core you can only fire one weapon at a time?
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yes, it is.
That's crazy.
are not immune to propaganda.
No.
As a matter of fact, every piece of information that we analyze has a great impact on our decision-making process, and therefore, doing
Yeah,
What does
Russia's
this have to
pure
do with
oligarchy.
Taiwan?
Dodging, doing a long enough dodge so he forgets that we were talking about Taiwan.
Keep dodging.
a full media blitz on any particular issue is usually going to yield these kinds of results and this kind of support, which without that kind of media blitz would not exist. Does that make sense?
Again, I'm not denying that propaganda exists and that we're all, you know, influenced.
And the example I was going to use was our justification for the invasion of Afghanistan and the invasion of Iraq. These were both unjustifiable wars, in my opinion. The war on terror was across the board, wholesale,
reciting the
ruthless,
Noam
cruel, led to
Chomsky
millions
book,
of people
what,
dying, led to tens of millions of people being destabilized, and we're still living in the rubble of that kind of cruel and unusual action. And it was championed by a majority of the American population. And until like the past like couple of years, where
what does that have to do with Ukraine being invaded by Russia?
Where do you think that kind of attitude came from?
Okay,
where do you think that justification came from? There was $1 billion industry.
Same thing, man. Ukraine was invaded by Russia.
No, it is exactly the same thing.
Literally a tyrant grabbing land in Europe.
I agree with what you're saying. My point is, my point is that
propaganda exists. Yeah, I know.
No, my point is that Americans think that they are independent thinkers, and yet they are motivated into believing things. No matter what it is, it can be a just cause.
What the hell is he talking
about? It can be a just cause in the situation.
Yeah, I don't.
Where you're,
it's like
where you're supporting.
What's your actual point? What's your actual
part where I'm XQC sitting here in the corner because he's not saying anything of note that has anything to do with Taiwan, and he's just like, yeah, what the news cycle focuses on is what the American people focus on. It's like
no, but how does that even have relevance to how does that have relevance to Ukraine and Russia? That doesn't even make sense there. It doesn't matter.
Well, because we wouldn't be thinking about Ukraine if the news cycle didn't report on it. Duh. I mean, obvious.
Don't even realize they're being manipulated by the media into caring about us killing people.
This is how I know that while there's a lot of Zoomers in my audience, I don't have a bunch of like children watching because Hasan has to think at like the child level of when news say a thing, that's what you think about. Meanwhile, you guys are way better than that. Hasan seems to be bringing up different countries' examples rather than focus on the OG topic. Yeah, exactly. He's just dodging. I think he just continues to dodge for the next, what is this, 6 minutes? I don't know. I don't want to really watch him finish that because
it's terrible. It's just awful.
It's just more, you know, Ethan just dumpstering on Hasan. But what I wanted to really get to tonight is Vape Nation, the capitalist, fighting back against the audience that Hasan has brought to his channel. So famous Twitch streamer Hasan Abi, great capitalist thinker that we just witnessed, has brought his audience into the H3 podcast and the H3 community, the H3 subreddit, all the above. And
it's
now
terrible.
We get to watch Ethan be like, communism is really dumb. So just sit back and get ready for the Vape Nation to come.
Get ready for the screeching.
Yeah. Imagine if Hasan spent more time dodging punches instead of questions, he'd be ready to fight Sam Hyde. Oh, wait, I left it muted. Go back. There we go. Gotta do this, gotta do that.
Property developer and multimillionaire Tim Gurner has expressed the view that employees have grown too arrogant and believe that a substantial increase in unemployment, especially in the construction sector, is necessary to boost productivity. Listen to this fucking psycho. Dude, this guy's gonna get me killed. He does not. Here, can you do me a favor, Ian? Put up that this dumbass's views do not reflect mine. Not for YouTube, but just for the
audience,
the communists watching, the radical communists watching.
You guys are not cold. It's
It's a little cold.
here.
Yeah, it's a little cold.
Turn off the air.
Dude.
I mean, the audacity to go out and say something in public, like this is some insightful thing. I mean, this man is a demon. Listen to this shit. Gurner Group.
Hey, I'll say something
Change the
stupider,
name.
so
Psycho
here you go.
Gurner Group. Stop.
Something stupider.
You're gonna crack up in the first 5 seconds.
What is this? Can I pop it? Okay, good.
Look how she's holding this knife.
Oh god, she's gonna lose a thumb!
Why is she cutting it like this? Why is she popping it?
Did she just crack it like an egg?
Yeah, she just tried to like drop. Use her hand. Just grab the chicken. And only one of them came out.
That's ridiculous. Cat thrower. All right. So Tim Gurner. What do we think he's actually saying here? He's
I don't
saying
know.
some unemployment would help the construction sector be more efficient. As in, there's a lot of lazy people that aren't working hard enough because they aren't hungry enough.
Well, I wouldn't say that's
to
the reason.
want to-
Some employment would be useful because you'll have to actually pay them more to get them to work.
That's true.
Yeah.
It kind of goes both ways.
Yeah. That's what the free market is. It finds a balance between what people are willing to work for versus what you need. If you need more
Exactly.
people and there's not enough people, you got to raise your prices so that you can get the people in there.
And if you want better people, you got to raise your rates too.
Yeah, if you want to keep good people, you got to give them money so they actually stay with you.
Mm-hmm.
I think the problem that we've had is that we have people decided they didn't really want to work so much anymore through COVID, and that has had a massive issue on productivity.
Not
tradies
Aussie.
have definitely pulled back on productivity. You know, they have been paid a lot to do not too much in the last few years, and we need to see that change.
Yeah,
We
literally
need to see unemployment
paying
rise.
people to not
Unemployment
work.
has
Yeah,
to
that's
jump
been
40
happening.
50%, in my view.
That's correct.
We need to see pain in the economy. We need to remind people that they work for the employer, not the other way around. I mean, there's been a systematic change where employees.
It's
feel the
definitely not an
employer is
American
extremely lucky
perspective,
to
but I understand what
Yeah.
he's saying in the fact
like-
that people just think they can do whatever they want. They can just not work when they're at work, and it's like fine. Because they can't afford to fire them because other people aren't going to work either. You know?
Right, exactly.
I see that.
There's a lot of power in the worker.
I saw that
right
a
now.
lot. I saw that a lot because it's just like people just won't do anything. They're totally useless, so they don't have any pressure to actually do anything, and it kind of ruins other people's.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just the employer, but it ruins the experience for everybody. Like you'll see
Yeah,
that
working
fast food
with a
places
dumbass
everywhere.
hurts you too. Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the
Example,
customer.
always.
It's like
Oh,
it
and
hurts
the
the customer, and the
customer.
fact
Oh,
is,
wow.
yeah, it hurts the business, it hurts the customer, it hurts everybody by having these lazy asses just do nothing, collect the paycheck.
Hurts everyone except the person doing it. I watched a girl steal a fuck ton of waffles, frozen waffles from our fridge in front of the manager. She wasn't fired.
Paying people to not work,
Don't
you mean like
fire.
unemployment? No, I think it goes beyond
He's
just
talking about the
unemployment.
COVID payment.
Because, like, yeah, unemployment is here's some cash until you get your next gig, and that's the entire like purpose is to make sure that you and your family don't starve while you figure out what's next. Versus, you haven't had a job for 3 years, and we're gonna still keep paying you your unemployment. So there's a point at which unemployment kind of stops working. In
Yeah,
Virginia,
like if
you
we
only
just
get 1 year of it.
if we just keep giving out unemployment quote unquote checks, it's like why would they go back to work?
Mm-hmm.
Especially with like the large amount of money we give out, and some of them, like COVID.
Well, yeah, it's like you got to balance it, right? Like it has to be enough so that someone who has kids, like we don't want families to starve. We don't want that. But we also want them to not be like picking up PS5s and like sitting around doing nothing. And we want them to be a little hungry to get that job. We don't want them to just sit on unemployment. So it's a balancing act for sure. But anyway.
Have them, as opposed to the other way around. So it's a dynamic that has to change. We've got to kill that attitude, and that has to come through hurting the economy, which is what the whole global, you know, the world is trying to do. The governments around the world are trying to increase unemployment to get that to some
That
sort of
always
normality.
sounds
And
so.
we're seeing it.
That always sounds bad. We need to increase unemployment, but it's not. It's not as bad as it normally sounds, because the unemployment rate that's typically cited are people who are without work and seeking work. That's usually the unemployment rate. People who are unemployed and not seeking work, that is not usually referenced when someone says the unemployment rate of America is 3% or 5% or whatever it is. So you want people who are unemployed who are seeking work, so there's like an active market of people And having it as low as it is sounds good. Like, oh, everyone has jobs, but it's not everyone has jobs. It's a lot of people aren't looking for jobs anymore. So it's a stat that always, it sounds bad to say you want to raise unemployment, but really what you want is you want people to want to work. You pay into your unemployment though? You mean like when you're working you pay into it? Or, because, yeah, unemployment in Washington is at least covered by the business owner, not the employee specifically.
Yeah, usually how it works is like when somebody gets fired, they have to pay they'll be open to some unemployment costs.
I can fire someone or they can quit. The only reason they would not get unemployment is if they had a job offer and left me for that job offer, then they would not get unemployment through my LNI. Unemployment is not a UBI, basically a bit of a tangent. By the way, remember the Yang campaign? Any thought on his forward party? Best of luck to him, all right? I will... okay. I don't see Washington turning purple anytime soon. So for the time being, my vote is trying to get campaign fund matching for whatever party is number 3. That's what I do. So if he can get the forward party close to that 5%, yeah, I'm voting Yang, but probably not happening. It's probably not happening. When you work, you pay into it, but you don't get it if you quit. You do get it if you quit in Washington State, so it just depends on where you're at. But yeah, no, it's a state by state thing because it should be. Like, it should be a state by state thing. If there's a state that doesn't want unemployment, then they can do that. If there's a state that wants crazy unemployment, they can do that. It should not be a federal thing for sure, because a giant government cannot react as quickly to small, minute changes in diverse areas. 2016, you really liked the Constitution Party. Then the local state branch got taken over by the Never Trumpers, and they only ever talked about Trump. Oh, man. I think it does. We were designed to do some work. When we don't, it removes a key piece of our purpose. Without that, depression, addiction, and a number of vices overwhelm people. It's true. I, still waiting on approvals and stuff, so I pretend that I'm retired, and even then I'm still doing tons of random work and jobs and projects, helping friends do things, doing stuff for ourselves. I can't not be doing something. This whole show started because I lost the delivery company, right? I can't just not do something.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that's I could totally, I understand that, yeah.
Yeah, there are some people, though, that could just sit around and not do anything because they change the serotonin response in their brain from, getting that happiness from doing work to getting happiness while they play a game or they watch a show or whatever it may be. They can trick their brains into thinking they're still getting something done in that same way. I can't do it. As much as I love games, I love playing games. They're really fun. It doesn't replace building this robot in this game and fighting and getting through just doesn't change building a shed. Just building a thing and being like, I built this. It's such a different level of something.
I think every employer now is seeing it. I mean, there is definitely massive layoffs going off. People might not be talking about it, but people are definitely laying people off, and we're starting to see less arrogance in the employment market, and that has to continue because that will cascade across the cost balance.
Can you imagine actually going out and saying this? I mean, what?
No. So, you know what I just saw?
What a
This
fuck?
guy is the guy that started the whole avocado toast thing. Same
How do you,
dude.
Hold on.
Which
How do
is
you
what is
claim
that?
Huh?
How do you claim that? That's like claiming burrito.
No. I'm sorry. He didn't say
He
that
didn't
he
make
invented
it. He
avocado
said
toast.
stop eating
You remember
it.
there was a controversy, the whole meme of well, millennials should
Oh,
just
that
stop
was
buying.
him.
Yeah,
Oh, I
he started
see.
that whole.
Stop with all the
discourse.
avocado toast.
Yeah, actually,
He
he's more
really
based than
did.
I thought.
This is what I'm saying.
God.
He
Look, here he is.
Oh wow!
wow.
Hey,
This
wait,
is
full
him.
screen that. Full screen that.
That's crazy.
Oh,
We are coming into a new reality
Yeah, they need to
where
stop eating the
first-time
avocado
buyers, second-time buyers.
toast.
What's up?
Stop eating avocado toast.
Yeah, and like, I feel like people take this like super literally. Like, if you were to stop paying for avocado toast, you could have a down payment, and they don't understand that it's the mindset that says, I'm going to stop going to Starbucks every day. I'm going to stop getting this avocado toast, and I'm going to buckle down into savings so that I can eventually get a down payment. That's that mindset that needs to change for you to actually get the down payment for a house. It's not.
Yeah,
It's not that the
like-
avocado toast is going to be your down payment. Nothing stupid like that. It's just that brain wave of switching it.
Yeah, like part of the reason I have money to not be working right now is because I eat out like once every week. Like one time.
Which is crazy that once a week is not a lot
Yeah,
for some people. Like I know people that DoorDash daily, and it's like,
yeah,
how?
the thing is, the last thing I ate out was like 4 or 5 days ago. I got 2 burritos from Taco Bell for $4.
There you go. Don't forget Burger Day was recent.
I didn't actually take advantage of that because whatever.
I just
Like,
read the
I
ads. Some of them are
need to,
kind of
yeah.
crazy. Like there was like 50-cent cheeseburgers and just all over the place. Everybody was doing some kind of burger ad. You don't need a $10 coffee? Yeah. My Starbucks order is $2.50. And it always has been because I get Doppio Campanas, which is 2 shots of coffee with a little bit of whipped cream. And the person never knows how to hit the Doppio Campana button. So they always just hit add shot, which extra shots are still just $1 at Starbucks. So I end up saying like $2 something for my coffee if I actually go. But I also have an espresso machine, so I just, I've got the beans, I've got the maker. I do
Like the
my
only
own
time I like the
every
reason
day.
that eating out is useful is literally just because it saves me some time. That's about it.
Oh yeah, time. You don't want dishes. Like there's plenty of reasons to.
It really just saves me some time. That's like the reason I'll do that every now and then still. And I don't really eat anything expensive basically ever.
Yeah, and you're also not like, oh well, I guess it's either rent or eating out today. Like you're not in that position.
Yeah, and obviously my rent is cheaper than most people, so that's pretty nice too.
Oh, this is good. Truth is you only eat for special occasions, or you make it rare so you don't go out for food unless you absolutely need to. Plus, knowing how to cook is important. Oh, dude, my my Mexican neighbors brought us tamales. I was like,
Nice.
yes.
That always makes you happy.
I love it. Like they have a little outdoor garden, so they'll randomly bring us like Mexican squash, which just looks like a giant zucchini, or tomatoes and
some of my family
jalapenos and
does that,
stuff.
yeah.
Like they'll bring us all kinds of stuff because they've got a really loud, annoying dog, and they just always feel bad. And it's like I love the dog; he's adorable, giant German Shepherd. But they always feel
He also
embarrassed
barks
about
at
it.
everybody. Yeah.
Oh, he barks at everything. But I love him because he's a giant German Shepherd, and people who like kind of come to our house will still get intimidated by the neighbor's
They
dog.
don't
I'm like,
like
hell
our
yeah. And I don't have to pick up his poops.
Anti-social.
Yeah, the kids always will have to come into our yard and pick him up if he comes into our area. But yeah, it's freaking great. And she's just like, oh, do you guys want some tamales? And my wife thought she said tomatoes at first because they had just brought us some tomatoes previously. And she's like, no, tamales. And I was like, hell yeah. I love tamales.
Eyes brighten right up.
Yep. Oh, Vincent Martin, good game mixed with a bad take. Wait, what's a bad take? Vincent Martin, do you have my link?
Are you talking about Hasan?
Oh,
If you're talking about Hasan,
yeah.
I'll
If you're talking
allow
about
it.
Hasan, then you're accurate.
Unless you're talking about not liking tamales, then I'm gonna fight you. It's
Or
gonna
not
be
liking
2v1.
Mexican neighbors, because I love my Mexican neighbors. Wait a minute, Vincent. What do we share a Discord?
I
Where
think he's
you
in
at?
your Discord.
Show member lists. General. There you are. How are you playing Google Chrome? What
You
is
just put it
that?
on. You just put it on Steam, and then you can be playing it. Yeah.
Oh, funny.
I think you can set it up directly into Discord. You can say, "Hey, put this as a thing," and then whenever you open it, it'll show you're playing Google Chrome. And you can also put it into Steam, and you can do it that way as well.
Gotcha.
And a lot of people
Because you can
won't
put any
own a
application
house
into
in their
Steam, and then
lifetime.
it'll
That is
say you're
just the
playing
reality
it
where
on
we're going.
Steam.
So you think
Oh,
that
really?
young
That's
people of
funny.
now got the prospect of never owning a home?
Absolutely, when you're spending $40 a day on smashed avocado and coffees and not working. Yeah, of course.
Oh,
And not
was it, I guess,
working.
yeah. Spending all your money on smashed avocado.
A day on smashed.
Why do they not get the last line? It's spending all your money on smashed
Every
avocado
day.
and not working.
Also, he says every day. It's not like you can't use it. So, like, you're doing it every day. It's like it adds up a lot.
Mm-hmm. Avocado and coffees and not working. Yeah, of course.
Dude, you fuck.
Absolutely.
This guy
When I have-
sucks.
He really sucks.
I'm also seeing that he is one of these weirdos that wants to be immortal.
Oh god, that's another dude I haven't talked about. The immortal
Yeah,
Instagram
yeah.
guy. I'm obsessed with him.
This guy's saying he gets receives magnesium infusion as well-being established.
Bro, you literally look like you're doing a demonic ritual. What are you doing?
Hey, do you want to know where
Look at
another
that
part
with all the
is? Because there's
candles.
more stuff on this
I-
map.
Oh, is there? Do I need to be
Yeah.
scanning around?
There's one that you passed that you need to go back to get.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can
Should I
kill these
grab
guys
this first?
thing. Yeah, you can grab this one first. It's not going to set off the enemies.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to kill these guys and go back up. Yeah, scanning just lets you lock on so you can shoot him. You should only need one shotgun blast if you're close enough.
I was like getting right next to him.
Yeah, now you
Night,
go back
Pedro.
up. Then you go up some more.
Up some more, Jeebles.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that's a controversial take that you shouldn't be spending more than 40 pounds, not even dollars, but pounds on food every day.
And while not having a job.
Also, it would actually cost 40 Australian dollars probably.
Like, let's assume that that they even are working. How are you spending 40 a day?
That is
Just use the assault boost.
I just don't know where I'm going. Up
No,
there.
I mean no, keep going up.
Oh, this way. Okay.
Yeah, back to where you came up.
Yeah.
I think it's on the next one up.
I hate you. I actually hate you.
I'm pretty sure you got to go to the end of the platform.
I mean,
on that one.
I can say from our experience that it's completely wrong. It's not the case about like productivity going down because of COVID and people not wanting to work. and
yeah,
stuff.
but you have a
it's wrong.
specific business.
Well, if
Ela.
your business model is reliant on exploiting
Nobody works in her
workers,
business
then
anyways.
it is going to affect your bottom line.
Yeah.
If you're McDonald's,
She runs a
if you're
fashion
Walmart,
business.
If you're, you know.
She has lots of
in a way,
employees.
we've learned that a business can be more accommodating to people and still work. Like
Yeah, they could
today,
be
some
all
people might come
super
for an
accommodating
interview
to all
and they'll
10 of their
ask
employees.
for I forget
Oh,
what's the
thanks for
word, but
the,
like a position where
follow
they
what
can
I got.
work twice,
Hold on.
hybrid, yeah, twice a week in the office and then work from home the rest of the
First
week.
time chat.
Stuff
Cool
like
stream,
that,
quieter
where
stream,
I
keep it
think
up, and notice
was
the channel setup may use some
educational for
improvement.
everybody on both sides.
Thank you. Thank you for the
And-
follow.
What are you trying to say, Dan?
His forehead is.
Oh, I don't have this on
It's
2
like
apps. That's my
crazy,
problem.
right?
Okay. Speed him up.
And like,
That
if you
haircut
follow like
doesn't
where
help.
his head actually, like the head is massive.
A lot of real estate.
That's his business.
I guess
I mean-
maybe we should listen. He's probably pretty smart with that. I think, right?
That 5 head.
Stupid fucking
That
circle.
8 head.
Hollow.
But like, I fundamentally disagree with his theory
Mhm.
that we must exploit workers for. It's like, dude, when workers
What did he say that?
Like, if
make
anything-
more money and are better off and have
Yeah, it's just
healthcare
it's
and
such
have-
a it's like you went from being so
disingenuous.
so direct and able to like talk to Hasan, but you can't listen to what somebody else says in like a clear way. Come on, buddy.
access to shelter, affordable shelter and food. Guess what? Society is more stable and going to have more longevity for everybody. When your philosophy is let's exploit every single worker to the max, it's only a matter of time before your head ends on a pike, brother. And it is coming someday. If you keep doing this, you will die.
It's so
Maybe
dumb.
not.
So yeah,
It's
he's
stupid
just
on so
saying,
many
yeah,
levels.
you're
You know
gonna
what?
get
Can I just say
killed.
something
I
else?
hope you
All
should.
these rich
I
people
hope
who
you
are trying to
do.
live forever are the worst. They're the last
Yeah,
people we
that's
want
what he
to live
does.
forever.
True.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's like what I
it's
do,
just like,
except
if
he's
anything, I
wrong.
think it became better for
Yeah,
everybody.
right.
Like,
It's having a meeting.
employees know
Oh.
better. They know what they want and what works for them and what to ask for now. And employers can accommodate that, and then the employee can feel appreciated and feel like they care about the job and actually do a better job because they still have free time to do what they need. They can go do their personal errands. Like, it's a more, I don't know, it's a better approach for everybody actually. What happened since COVID?
In almost all office.
It's only good for very specific businesses. There's a lot of businesses that don't work that way. Anything manual labor just can't work that way.
Yeah, let's see the UPS go to a remote job system.
I mean, Amazon is trying. They got that little robot that goes door to door now, but it's still like a little container you have to open.
I think that's called an automated system. Not a
Well,
remote system.
I think it's still piloted. I don't think it's
okay.
automatic yet.
Then they're trying to outsource it to
Yeah, you need to go. You need to go back.
non-Americans.
It's higher up.
Higher up?
Yeah,
Oh,
behind you.
Look at these guys.
I guess I'm just more robots.
Assault. Okay.
Jobs where people have to go to a specific place to work. There's no reason for them to be in that location 50% or even more of the time. Like, literally, it's just a quality of life increase for them that costs nothing.
Behind
Apparently, to people like this,
Behind
the
me.
worker's suffering is part of what he expects to get from the salary he pays them. You know, he feeds
Yeah,
off of it.
like
What
it
a
was on that.
piece
It
of
was
shit,
on
dude. I hate this guy.
that
I didn't even
platform.
say
It was
that.
higher up. You literally you didn't look up.
Oh, gotcha.
You know, I know that I'm a capitalist.
It's really hard to
Oh, here we go.
Something
Finally.
where-
Okay. He knows he's a capitalist. If the revolution ever comes, Hasan head will be probably on a platter in Minecraft. That's what Chatter said.
That with my other like socialist ideas, and I think there is. I think that if there isn't, there should be a thing, and it's a little bit of an oxymoron. It sounds silly, but I do think it's a real. It can be and is a real thing. Benevolent capitalism. Does that sound silly?
It's called being a social democrat.
No, it's at the
No,
end.
it's called just being a capitalist.
What I think is like
It's at the end
if
of
you
the
like
platform.
Wait, what?
It's at the end of the platform. Turn
The
around.
end of this one?
Yes, it's up. Not you see the little blinking light. You went directly below it.
Oh, funny.
idea of capitalism.
You went everywhere else, and then you're just like, no, I'm not going back where he was telling me to go. I'm not going
Gotcha.
there.
Okay. Yeah, no. Benevolent capitalism is just capitalism that works. When you make more money and you give your workers more money, you give them bonuses and stuff, they work harder for you and they enjoy working for you more. Like, that's just how the world works better. Just because some people suck at running a business and make it, suck for their employees, then doesn't mean that capitalism is the problem, you know?
Then you need to also accept the inevitable downsides of capitalism. Like, if how you live is dependent on you working, right? Then you need to guarantee people jobs. It doesn't make sense. So, because without that, then you're basically saying, yeah, just
No,
the
that's not how
consequence
that
some people are gonna be
works.
homeless and destitute. And so
there-
that's unacceptable, right?
You need to guarantee people jobs.
Yeah, you don't need a guarantee of jobs, but like the jobs should be able to exist. So like I think that we would agree on like a solution or like a way to come together to like get that to happen, but it is a really funny way to say it. Like, you got to guarantee that the job exists. It's like not really. It just will exist.
Every solution that comes to mind for this issue just ends up creating entirely different problems in my head. Like what if we just give people under a certain amount of income a certain stipend? Well, then companies are going to purposely make people below that income so they can get that stipend. It's just like,
yeah, or they'll raise rates because they know they're getting that stipend.
Exactly. There's just so much bullshit that goes on where it's just like, yeah, well, what if we just didn't do any of that?
Yeah, like as long as there's people naturally competing for the same employees, the prices are going to have to get, and there's not collusion between each other to not compete. If there is competition, the prices are going to go up for the employee. They're gonna get paid more because they have to.
Right. The employee still has to bring value.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's psycho. I just accept that as a fact of life. And so, like, I think the government should have guaranteed jobs for people that want to work, you know, that pay enough for the minimum amount needed to have shelter and food. I think shelter should
The government does have a guaranteed job for people that want it and don't want to work.
You know what that
hard.
is, Ethan?
It's called the military.
Yeah. Do you know what that is, Ethan?
It's a giant bunch of jobs you can sign up for and have very low IQ and still succeed at.
Be guaranteed.
They want you to
Food
have
should be
low IQ,
guaranteed.
actually.
Because, again, we want the capitalist
Food
society
should
and all
be
the good things
guaranteed.
Yeah,
benefits.
they'll
I
even
do
feed
like
you
the
in the
system of capitalism. I
military.
think it's good. But so we want all the good things, but at the same time, it does, if it's unchecked, it makes society, the distribution of wealth and like the stability of society is totally off keel. And if you need a job to provide food and shelter, then again, that's the capitalism, right? So you have to guarantee those things. So I think
God,
work,
that's so
food, and shelter
retarded.
should be guaranteed rights of people living
You
in
know what
capitalism.
is kind of funny about it though is it's kind of like
This is just communism. He says people should be guaranteed food, jobs.
That's
a
not
home.
communism. That's
they should be
different.
guaranteed. They should be guaranteed all of these things.
Yeah, communism is a little different. Communism is when people own that stuff collectively, but the idea that people should be guaranteed it is a form of capitalism. But what's insidious, and I don't think he means this by what he's saying, is that if you take care of somebody's base needs, so if your taxes and the government and everything pays for people's base food, like just some base level of food and base level of housing, which I don't think it should, but if you did, that then frees up their money to buy your product. So as a clothing company, as a guy who wants people who can sit around and watch his YouTube channel, it would bring him enormous amounts of wealth for people to not be worrying about their rent and be giving him their rent checks. I don't think he means it that way, but that is a potential outcome of this.
I think it's how are you guaranteeing all this stuff other than having to tax people more so you can pay for all of this to guarantee all of these things? Like supposedly,
Don't tax people more. We already have a deficit. Just keep running it.
Yeah, oh yeah, just keep running a deficit. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, why would you worry about it?
Don't worry, the inflation won't get worse. And it's not
I
gonna
swear to
spiral out of
G-Blees, do you
control.
even know what the deficit is?
No.
Yes.
What is it?
I'm gonna say yes.
The deficit is the money that's in our bank account.
I'm gonna say the deficit is that there is a deficit.
I'm gonna go with 23.
23 what? No, I'm just no, like what physically is.
The thing is, what value is there if they're just saying all these things and we just keep pumping this up more, and the fact that we aren't actually making more is just like.
Are we not making more?
No, the thing is,
rising.
I'm talking about this situation he's proposing.
Yeah, you would have to have a good amount of increased productivity, which would come from our GDP rising, from all the people who stopped paying or had money to pay rent and started paying more to other businesses. So like there is a world in which it works. I think it's a waste, and I don't think it'll be handled very well.
Especially since all of this is going to be government controlled. It's going to be essentially run. That sounds like a great combination.
The budget of the government, the incoming revenue they bring in every year. True. That is the exact definition of the deficit, which means that as the government pays for things, pays companies to build things, pays companies for contracts, pays people to work in various government jobs, and then those people take those paychecks and then buy other stuff, and it cycles through the economy. Their deficit that they're not removing from tax is the money that's left in everyone's bank accounts at the end of the year.
And
healthcare.
Right, and healthcare should be too,
Yeah.
I mean, those are even like the three most basic, but actually, yeah, healthcare, should be, and education should be too, you're right.
Education already is.
Because you want to exist in this world where it's all about money. It's all about market forces and all this shit. You can't just regulate on the top. You have to regulate on the bottom too to control for the outcome.
But yeah, you are everything you just described is almost social democrat to a T. I mean, this is what think like FDR Democrat.
I love his second Bill of Rights.
Yeah, Democrats.
Second Bill of Rights is
like
really dumb.
Is everything that you're describing,
Dude,
at least ideologically. They didn't
bill
live up to all those things, but that was the kind of prevailing wisdom at the time.
The second Bill of Rights would have been the greatest thing that happened to this country, man. That's crazy.
It would have not been. We can't even agree on what our first Bill of Rights means. What do you mean the second one would be great?
The natural inclination of some people. Like, I don't think it's even realistic to say I want to live in like a perfect communistic society because that just doesn't work.
Yeah, perfect communism
antithetical
doesn't
to
work.
But I do think there are good things of capitalism provides, which is I do think there's a sense of innovation that happens when people are.
Okay, so we made it through the garbage schlock that Ethan was spewing, and now we can get to the anti-communism arc, the vape nash arc that we're finally getting. If the government controls outcomes, that removes choice. That's slavery. The counter, if I'm gonna steelman the argument, it would be the government guaranteeing a base level, and that they're not controlling the outcome, they're just controlling the floor. The ceiling is still yours to do with whatever you will, but the idea that we have a
Stop
floor
making noise, Michael.
I'm trying, dude.
You're not trying. You can just press the B button anytime you want.
It's just a button. How do you not have this button?
Motivated by money and pushed to, do certain ideas and to invest in certain ideas that like the government isn't doing.
Capitalism invests in what the government doesn't do.
Yeah. I don't hate the idea of like people who can be successful. I think it's good. That
He
people
likes billionaires.
can achieve success in the term monetary success. I mean, that's what that means, right? I do. There's nothing wrong with that. It's good. I think it's
good.
Yeah, right. It encourages efficient production, right? I mean, if there's a money incentive, like if everything was owned by the government, it would remove a lot of efficiency, perhaps, when people aren't motivated by money and stuff. But this is all silly. Again, it all sounds very vapid, and when you describe it, because capitalism is inherently, it seems like, based on hedonism, right? It doesn't come from like an altruistic place. So that's why the important part is.
It sounds that way, but it doesn't mean it is that
humanity
way.
That is kept in this, rat race, which is capitalism. That's it. The second Bill of Rights, FDR tried to pass, and he was close too, man.
Does everybody know what the second Bill of Rights is?
The right to adequate medical care,
I actually don't know
to
what it
achieve and
was.
enjoy good health.
That sounds bad.
Let's pull it up. It's so you know how like we can't agree on what the term "shall not be infringed" means. Let's just keep that in mind as we look at the second Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
Michael's incapable of hitting a mute button. He has the IQ of an Army MP. Okay, so here is Roosevelt's speech in 1944 as a message to Congress. In our day, these economic truths have become accepted as self-evident. We accept, so to speak, a second Bill of Rights under which a new basis of security and prosperity can be established for all, regardless of station, race, or creed. Among these are the right to a useful and remunerative job in the industries or shops or farms or mines of the nation. Okay, so right to a useful and remunerative job. That's a weird word. Remunerative? Right to work is what it leads to. So we'll just say right to work on that. I think Ethan is trying to say is that communist is stupid. It's true. The right to earn enough to provide adequate food and clothing and recreation. Like, this one is so dumb. Okay, earn enough to provide adequate food. What's adequate food? What's adequate clothing? Do you think anyone in the government can agree as to what adequate recreation would be?
The government needs to start paying for fudge rounds, and we'll get there.
Oh my goodness. They need to buy everyone a PS5. That's that's adequate recreation for everybody. Like, how would that ever function for people to agree as to what that means? And also, it's like, okay, so we've got federal minimum wage at 7 something. We've got state minimum wage. Like, my state is $12, $11 an hour, something like that. And yet you go down to McDonald's and they're paying $20, $25 for a guy to hit a button to drop the fries. Like, who cares what the minimum wage is when the people need people to work? They're gonna pay what they need to pay.
I think it's like $13.50 or $14 here.
Yeah, it's chunky.
I think in Portland it's $15 or $15.50.
Adequate, like providing free Twinkies, ho-hos, that giant big pink cookie to snack on during work. Yeah, the frosty cookie. The right of every farmer to raise and sell his products at a return, which will give him and his family a decent living. Farmers' rights! The right, you know what the right isn't on this that would have totally been an FDR right is the right to repair. That would have been a big FDR right. The right of every businessman, large and small, to trade in an atmosphere of freedom from unfair competition and domination by monopolies at home or abroad. I don't know how you, like, we can barely stay on top of at-home monopolies with our Antitrust Act, and yet we're going to also be stopping abroad monopolies. I don't think that's happening. The right of every family to a decent home. Does that feel like a right we can agree on?
No.
No. The right to adequate medical care and the opportunity to achieve and enjoy good health.
So yeah, basically all of these things, single one of these is required on somebody else doing something.
Oh yeah. The right to adequate protection from economic fears of old age, sickness, accident, and unemployment. And the right to a good education.
I'm just going to say positive rights are communism.
Positive rights are communism? That is
positive,
communism?
Positive rights are communism.
It's
that's
such
what
a...
it is.
Like, it's a nice platitude to be like, yes, every American has the right to do this and do this and do this. But, like, when you try to make, like, them into a Bill of Rights when you're talking to them, I don't know. I don't even know if he actually meant it as like a Bill of Rights. What's the next line here? All of these rights spell security, and after this war is won, we must be prepared to move forward in the implementation of these rights to new goals of human happiness and well-being. Like, it just kind of sounds like a platitude statement. I don't even know how actually they were thinking about
capability of
those.
fulfilling this is kind of insane.
Yeah.
Because to realistically try to even have any of this, you have to have a government standard for all of these things, and then everything has to be raised to the government standard.
Mm-hmm. Free Xboxes for everyone and Oculus Rift in every house. Yeah, it sounds like somebody's running for like their their school presidency, not like I want a donut at lunch every day. Like,
and the thing is, the way I see it is just the fact that the government would be getting involved in literally everything.
Yeah, everything was listed,
including like your personal family life. It's like the house.
I mean, that's FDR we were talking about.
Yeah,
I mean, that's alphabet soup.
The house you live in, and your children have to have like specific care taken care of them. It's like
I finally have my popsicle out of the wrapper, so I'm eating now.
Finally,
it only took you like 4 minutes.
Bro sounds like he's grapefruiting a man over there.
I just pulled the video up.
Right to adequate protection from economic fears of old age, sickness, accident, and unemployment. The right to a good education. He was going to draft the second Bill of Rights, and it was close. It was really close to passing.
Close to passing what? It looked like it was just a speech he said.
There you go. I don't know what the fuck you want from me. I think that capitalism is a more realistic system of governance than like fucking communism is, you know.
Yeah, capitalism better than communism. Stick on that note.
Whoever's in charge is they're gonna be greedy, they're gonna be corrupt, they're gonna fuck everything up. It doesn't make sense to me.
That's true. Communism always greedy. Communism went greedy.
So as long as there's no like mega losers in capitalism, if that's something we can regulate, then I do believe
just stop the mega losers.
A benevolent thing.
Okay.
Yeah, capitalism breeds greed.
No more people that
they
suck.
say greed is good, and there is some truth to that.
Does that mean incels get money too?
It's an inherent
exactly.
quality of man, and it can sometimes drive innovation, efficiency, all this kinds of stuff. You know, you think that because you benefit from it, Ethan? Obviously, yeah.
He's reading his chat. You think that because you benefit from it? Duh. If it hurt me, I would hate it.
I think
that's interesting because I don't think anybody actually benefits from communism unless you're in charge of communism.
Oh, it gets better. Oh, it gets so much better.
Well, his opinion is obviously going to be his opinion based on his experience.
But I feel like that's always been my opinion, frankly. So
I'm just saying the fact that it benefits you is obvious that it's going to affect your opinion. It is your opinion.
It just seems like this fucking like socialist, communist idea that people want is like just a pipe dream.
What is that?
Pipe dream.
I'm curious because I see so many people in the chat saying no.
I don't know what y'all are tripping about. Like, what the fuck
What is the idea that
you guys,
people are looking for?
I don't know.
To hear.
I actually don't know. Like,
Does he not know what Hasan's audience is?
I'm living in modern day America, but
He does. He talks about it later on, actually, specifically there in the Discord. He's like, "What are these people doing all the time?"
You guys eating
Update about the
avocado
truck?
toast and not
Still
working.
waiting.
Guys aren't even old enough to legally work. Is that what it is?
Yeah, exactly. A bunch of 15-year-olds who read the r/communist subreddit.
They played Disco.
No, they're part of Gen Z.
Oh shit!
They watch
He just
VOD.
runs away.
Gosh.
I want a full communist revolution. I don't know the fuck. I'll take on humanity, dude. You guys are.
Dan, do you know? Because you know everything.
Yeah, I don't really.
I don't
You
really.
really want to get into this right now?
I don't mind.
You don't want to get into it? Get into
actually
it,
curious-
Dan.
Right now, so.
Okay,
Well,
that's
they
fine.
think that, like,
I'm actually
Dan
curious what,
sucks.
because like it seems like majority of the chat is disagreeing, and so
So we have a
like,
very left-leaning audience here on the H3 podcast, and I'm sure plenty of people agree with you. I'm sure, but I mean, obviously,
I think we are left leaning too. so that's fine.
anti-capitalists are going to speak up when you're giving an impassioned defense of it. But
I wouldn't say it's impassionate, but I do. I am a capitalist. What do you want? You know what I mean? And I
Dan
think-
is
but the
such a
thing is, like, they
loser,
think that,
dude.
like, workers should share in
He'll
the,
like take all these little
the,
jabs and snipes, like it's such a passionate defense of capitalism. And
Dan, you get to sit there talking into a microphone because of capitalism.
yeah, but he
Is
doesn't ever want
Dan,
to. He doesn't want to ever speak out about his own beliefs. He just like chidely, condescendingly talks about his position on things.
Is he the producer? Because he's been a
Yeah.
dick the entire time.
Yeah, he's
Every
he's the
single clip I
producer.
see from him, I hate him.
Yeah, genuinely. Like he was literally on Hasan's side, and that's just
Yep.
the dumbest side to be on.
Yep. Oh, has been for.
It's always
he's been
incorrect.
annoying for a while. He used to be better when you had never saw him, but ever since they got the switcher to actually like start to see some of the backroom faces, just the quality of the Dan comments has dropped.
He's not even
second
remotely
camera.
the same quality of Quarter Black.
No, nothing like that.
They
No.
achieved camera 2.
yeah, that's the fundamental difference. Is that
workers should get a % of your earnings, essentially, a percentage of their production.
They do.
Yeah, that's the thing that nobody seems to say in any of these arguments about like capitalism or you know, versus communism. They're always like, oh, workers need to have like the means of production, or workers need to have more investment in the production. It's like they do. The workers get a salary that literally subtracts from the profits. That's how it works.
It is always the largest amount taken away from the profits. at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Huge. I want to say with the delivery company, it was
85
close to 80% of my
expense.
of my revenue went to not 80% of my expenses,
Okay,
like
after,
80% of
yeah.
revenue. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Those aren't big margins.
No, delivery sucks. Blaine, you see the Zerka fight? No. John Zerka? I'd watch John Zerka
That has
fight.
to be John Zerka, right? I don't know who else.
I don't know any other Zerkas.
I don't agree with that. I don't think. I mean, in some cases it's true, but I think you do have a obligation to make sure your employees are well provided for.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Scooter.
Like that's for sure. Suck it, chat. You're watching a capitalist pig. Deal with it.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck. You guys are all like radical communists. There's that many radical communists.
they're not radical communists. Not everybody that's anti-capitalist is a communist.
It is kind of a radical take.
God
being
damn.
Dude, shut
Shut
the
up.
fuck
I don't
up.
know, like
Holy shit.
who's ANCAP that isn't a commie?
Dude, you got the socialist one too.
Oh, that's stupid.
Yeah, I'm just assuming that's what he means.
like full anti-capitalist. I mean, you're essentially advocating to change the entire structure of all societies today on Earth. That's not radical.
Is there anywhere in the world that is?
Yeah,
doing
Dad
that?
just shuts up.
Oh, such a good question, Ela. Is there anywhere in the world that is doing that? Let's find out.
Not really. China's apparently communist, but it's not
No,
really.
it's not.
It's not. The people couldn't do whatever they wanted
North
during
Korea's
COVID.
communist. Well, not really.
Yeah, that's not really.
Yeah. Russia is, well, I don't know what Russia is. No, not really. I don't think there
No.
is. I don't think there really is. But how is being anti-capitalist not radical? Just in theory. Because
Because the United States isn't the whole world, dude. Like,
what country is not
I mean,
capitalist?
I'm from
most of
Israel, but
Europe
it's pretty
has
much the same
large
thing.
anti-capitalist socialist political parties. Some of them in power at times. Some of them, yeah. It's definitely.
They're
Oh, yes.
He's doing the rub of your neck thing because he's like, I'm not really sure what I want to
I
talk
also
about
just
because
love that
the
statement.
fact that the Nordic
Europe
countries
has
actually are very capitalist. They just have a large. Yeah.
If anti-capitalist parties that are in charge sometimes.
The thing is, most of them, they have
That
a
doesn't
different...
mean that the country is communist.
Also, yeah, they have a different breed of state control that's not quite the same as, like, socialism of the USSR.
Right.
Like, the interpretation of many, like, far-left European parties...
But still, state
isn't the
control is
same.
not communism. Communism is
No,
all
not
of
the
the
same way, no.
people owning everything.
Yeah, it's
just
really...
state capitalism or fascism, whichever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's... Oh, I mean, I'm not informed enough to say it's more than just authoritarianism.
But it's still, it's not a communism of any kind, or, you know.
They don't actually want they want to regulate the economy a lot, but they don't actually want to have any kind of state ownership on it.
Right.
They just want to keep throwing extra, like, regulation in.
Welcome, Megaloid.
I can't tell you what it really is.
Whose cat is that?
I thought that was a bird at first.
Michael, whose cat is that?
What cat?
I heard it. Might have been a
There's no
bird
cat.
though, like going.
Oh,
What is
that
it?
is a trash can.
You press the trash can. It goes,
No, it opens itself. Oh no, it's not
it
mine.
just goes.
It's not mine. Okay, I would prefer the lid just stay open.
Capitalist countries, bro. Name one European country that isn't a capitalist country.
No, yeah, you're right. They're all capitalist countries.
They're oh
Yeah.
oh what?
Wait.
You know, there's plenty to criticize.
Oh, they all have socialist parties that are in charge. Immediately asked, which ones? No, they're all capitalist. Why did you even say it?
And the thing, yeah, a lot of people will bring this up when we talk about European countries. The Nordic countries are typically far more capitalist than the rest of the mainland Europe.
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
and like
just
they
the
have a
whole
lot
way-
of social like systems.
Yeah, the way their social
they're
systems
not-
is not the same. Yeah.
They're not communist. They're not like I don't even think they're socialist by definition.
Yeah, they're just a far more mixed economy than ours. That's the
Mhm.
difference, mainly.
And that's the best part about like all of the socialism debates and everything, the communism debates, is they're like, well, you know, communism is when workers have the means of production. Then let them have it. Start co-ops. Capitalism lets you run co-ops.
Yeah,
Oh, but the capitalists have all the money. Make more money. Like I don't. This isn't hard.
You can get a business loan really easily.
Oh, but the banks won't loan to co-ops. Bullshit. If you can show a bank that you'll make money, they'll give you a loan. That's how it works.
Also, it's not like, how can you just say, like, I can't save up any money, I can't get a loan, I can't get people to put forward money together to sign on to something together.
And if
It's just all
the
this stupid
co-op is a
stuff.
group of people who own it, you went from one person having to raise the funds to everybody can raise the funds.
Yeah.
Guys, but have you considered I can't have shit?
Also, I saw something really
yeah,
stupid
you're lazy. I
just
forgot about that one.
Just the other day, where somebody said that America isn't capitalist because there is any fragment of a mixed economy. It's actually, you got to call it a mixed economy, because every single economy in the world is a mixed economy, because it's not pure capitalist and cap. It's just like, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
That's a YMS take right there. Is what
Yeah,
that is.
people say like you're not actually a capitalist. That's what he said straight up in the comment on Reddit I saw. Was
That's
you're not actually
hilarious.
capitalist because you like the mixed economy.
Yeah, that is allowed. Okay, by definition, I would be a free market person, I guess. Usually you say free market capitalist, but if it was free market co-ops, I'd be happy with that too, because it would be the market forces determining what occurs.
I mean, just like you said, it's a stupid YMS point. Is like you're taking this one little thing and saying like, oh no, that's not actually blah, 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 blah. No, it's close enough. You know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
And
And
you know
like
what capitalism means.
the other thing that a lot of people don't get into with these capitalism versus communism versus socialism things is the idea that the reason that capitalism functions so well, like Ethan said efficiency, but that efficiency kind of negates the idea that you could have separate efficiencies. So if out here in the Northwest, suddenly avocados are selling way better, you can have an increase in avocado stores, little grocery or little diners that pop up that specialize in avocado stuff, all that kind of thing. Meanwhile, a completely different market in New York with pizza, we'll take this, the most stereotypical thing, is what springs up and goes. And the individual people and business owners and capital owners who are functioning there can make this happen without asking anybody and just adjust to the market. But if the market starts saying we want more of this thing in a capitalist or socialist society that has to then do a command economy, where they say, hey, this is what we're seeing from the local markets, can we get more of this thing? And then it has to go through a bureaucracy to finally get that thing down there. You don't know if that demand will still be there by the time you're done with all that hoopla. And you don't know if it's going to be consistent. They'll be like, oh, well, we've got more avocado need. Everyone gets more avocados. And now New York's got avocados they don't even know what to do with.
Yeah, like largely what capitalism is letting the economy regulate its own wants.
Nanto moha mu.
And that's why,
Yeah.
and that's why a lot of extra government regulations on things that do not need to be regulated is very bad for a capitalist economy, because it puts more barriers in from smaller niches in the market being fulfilled by smaller, I guess I would just say creators or producers by smaller producers.
Yeah. Oh, Mohammed Janai.
And obviously, yes, there are certain standards we want to uphold for like food safety and whatnot, but to a point,
But
most
that's such a
things
base level, you know.
Yeah, it really is so much more than we need it to be. Like, I mean, I could just tell you the time that we got demarked on like a health food thing because there was rust on a door handle.
Oh yeah, you're like, oh cool. Did I rub the food on the door handle before I served it? I didn't think so.
Yeah, it's just like a bunch of stupid stuff like that, and there's so many little points. It feels like every time a health person comes in, they have a new list of things that they're gonna just demark you for.
Oh yep, and they'll find it every single time.
Yeah.
Well, I've got to find something, and they give you like an A or an excellent, whatever your like local rating is. But they still had to find something, otherwise they weren't doing their job. And it's like, God,
yeah, it's like, yeah, because they don't actually have jobs that are important. They just have to give new things to give them to do. They have to have new standards to give them.
For modern capitalism, lots. It's not working in its current form. It's just totally broken in its current form. Like this late stage capitalism that, like this subreddit. Like
no, don't give up. Don't talk about the late stage.
You know, it's not working.
Don't give in, Ethan.
But like, name one. You know, social democracies do great in Europe.
Yeah.
Sweden, for example.
Yeah, because you're explaining Sweden pretty much, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like a capitalistic country with insanely high social benefits and security.
That's what I would like to see.
That's what I've lived in my whole life, and I'm curious what these people have to criticize. I mean, there's a lot.
Ask Dan. You have a radical communist right next to you.
I actually don't know what the criticism is for Sweden's economy. So
that's
I'm
exactly
also
what I would love to see. Like, that's what I don't understand why everybody is like that.
And I'm sure there are. I'm not saying there isn't. I'm genuinely curious. I don't know.
I think that
a lot of young people see that capitalism, whether you think it has brought a lot of improvements to people's lives, is a system that is killing the planet. And
oh yes, killing the planet.
That is the worst possible argument any communist could ever make.
My experience and what I've done around is like you said. You were just talking about that subreddit.
That is truly the worst possible. I mean, there's so many different examples you could bring up of horrible pollution by communist systems. And one of the biggest ones people point to being just insane is the fact that Russians drained a giant lake of water because they didn't care about it, because it didn't matter to them.
Not just giant, right? Let me pull this up. It was the 5th largest sea in the world. Was this in 1989? Now it's, you know, dried to these tiny puddles.
No, that's climate change.
Right, yeah. The climate change is what made the USSR say, "Oh, let's dam all the rivers that feed this lake."
Just the pure efficiency of the American economy has made
4th largest lake in the world.
has done a good job in reducing our emissions. We've moved a lot of production overseas, which has reduced it itself, but the production we still do here is much more efficient because of the regulation we put in place, and much less contaminating in terms of, I guess, just pollutants being produced.
And people want solar. People want electric cars. People want these things.
Yeah.
So the market is adapting to it. People are like, oh, these corporations are like going woke, or, you know, whatever somebody wants to like kind of complain about. But like,
why are you running into the snake?
I don't know, because I'm busy talking.
Yeah, you gotta hit the head.
Yeah.
Special guy.
But
the
yeah,
snake
so
will have
like,
specific times it comes up and like gives you a good shot at it. Like when it perches up its head, just like it kind of stands still, and then it'll also have times where it'll just charge towards you face first. Right. So you can just wait. Yeah, like that. Yeah, just wait until you get an opportunity like that, and then you can use your dart.
Oof.
It's actually probably the worst mission for the tank because that thing does a lot of damage and it's harder to get out of the way.
It is very hard to get out of the way.
Yeah.
They want that? I freaking love solar. I don't know, like anyone who's like against solar and all these other alternative power sources, they're crazy. The thing that'll get us to like the next cool and crazy power source will be embracing like the new one. Ooh, hey.
I love hydropower. I'm not really a big fan of solar and wind. That's like my main thing, honestly.
I also like hydro. Hydro gives me super cheap power, which I love.
Hydro is really amazing. The thing is, it's just not available everywhere, right? That's like that's the actual problem.
But solar, like battery tech and everything, is really coming up.
Yeah, solar is going to be really good in the future. Right now, it's in a decent spot, and it's going to keep getting better.
It's good enough that it'll pay my bills.
Yeah, solar's pretty nice right now. On a mass scale, it's still kind of inconsistent. I don't think wind power. I mean, maybe it'll get better, but wind power, I don't. It just doesn't seem like it's going to be evolving.
Yeah, wind has too many people that hate it. Birds
power,
and everything. Like,
and the thing is, wind power seems like it's just too much of a. Wind power seems like the one that's just going to kind of go away eventually, other than certain situations, like specific areas where it's quite good, where it's extra windy.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I mean that about like any power source. When I say like, I think it's like we should be excited about figuring these things out. Like even those like wave power things where like the waves go up and down and these little things generate power. Like that's cool. Like I don't understand why any of that would be not done unless we like start it and we're like, yeah, this doesn't really give us enough juice, so we'll do something different.
I think solar is going to continue to improve and it's going to just get even better and it's going to become more useful and it's going to be more applicable.
True. Oh, good. I think I figured out this fight now. Let's listen to Dan.
Centered around it. I feel like people see the decline happening, and they're fundamentally unhappy with the way that we have arranged our society. And to act like it was eternal and was always like this is kind of naive. I mean, capitalism. Well, because capitalism is something that has only existed for about 200 years in like the form that we know it. Right, but I'm just saying that, like, do you think that we have figured it out, that we found the best system of organizing society?
I think that
we're at the end of history.
I think part of it you have to tangle with is what's realistic. Like what's a realistic life for people to form.
I feel like if we're talking about America,
what is realistic about a society that, I mean, we live in Los Angeles. There's thousands of homeless people starving on the street in our neighborhood.
I'm not advocating for that.
Right, but I'm saying that people see the flaws in the system that we currently have, and so that
I see them too.
And there's a lot of, this is the thing, you're saying like everybody's a radical communist. That's not necessarily the case. Being anti-capitalist doesn't equate that. It just is somebody that has landed on the side of the coin that they think that the system that we have, that capitalism, is not working. And there's a huge variety of people, ways that people go from that. Well, and some people, I mean, most Republicans, and I would say even a lot of Democrats would say what you just described, that social democrat kind of point of view.
They're not.
Would say that you are anti-capitalist from that point of view.
That's fine, then I accept that.
Right.
I mean,
seen as kind of like
right
on the fence between
I was just talking
called the left and the right.
So I'm watching the middle path, like Buddha himself.
I want the real green energy,
don't you feel
the nuclear
here in
energy.
America, like,
that's the realest green energy they could come up with.
The greenest energy you'll ever get.
Yeah.
I'm the greenest energy you ever gonna get.
people can't even afford healthcare or education. So like, isn't a social democracy a first step that we should all try to get to?
Yeah, a lot of people feel that
before
way.
like trying to get to like
there's
I
an
want
enormous
shares
amount
in
of
every
nuance and
business I work
degrees here. Yeah.
So I think that
you can have
for
shares
us,
in a
we're
business.
mostly
I don't
talking about,
understand
what
that
we feel is
argument
realistic,
either.
Like, what's the first step that we should at least try to get? Like the bare minimum. I'm still,
This
I'm
white
been here
design
telling you,
that
I'm still
shirt
shocked
does
about
a
healthcare. Like it shocks me
Yeah.
every single time I deal with
It is shocking.
I paid $200 just to get a blood test. Like
Right.
it's insane. It's insane.
Is that insane?
So to me, it's like, yeah, we.
What'd you get the
we
blood
can talk
test
like
for?
philosophical and we can talk all kinds of things, but I feel like, what's actually going to happen? What's something that would be a first step to improve?
Well, I mean, there's a variety of opinions on that, and a lot of people would say that it does need to be an incremental thing, and we need to work towards that. I mean, even people who describe themselves as communists say that, because again, like the USSR, for example, which is the most famous example of like a big country, a big superpower level country that people consider communist, right? Within their own framework, they never thought that they were communist. They thought they were taking steps towards communism, and in a variety of different ways. And so it's just about like that's an
I
idea.
hate these people, dude.
Well, you don't think they thought they were stepping towards communism?
No, it's just the way all these stupid fucking socialists say it every time. It's like, no, they were taking steps towards communism. They weren't there
They
yet.
didn't make it to communism.
It was because of the American.
Isn't it crazy how
people
taking steps
shutting them
towards this
down.
ideology always leads to mass amounts of death?
Oh man, we had to starve people because we couldn't afford enough
They only
food.
starved because the capitalist countries cut them out and they wouldn't give them food just because they were like declaring war on everybody around them, sponsoring terrorist organizations across the world. They decide, oh, we're just not gonna help the USSR because we hate communists that are trying to, you know.
Yeah. So capitalist countries couldn't use their surplus of food to fix the deficit of food in a communist country. Oops. Sorry.
That's like an end goal that people who would self-describe as communists are. Now, what I would say a radical communist is somebody that wants a violent revolution to overthrow the government and take over and implement that system as closely as possible now, which is something that has happened in a variety of places to varying degrees of atrocities that fell out of it.
But when you say you're anti-capitalist, though, does that mean that you are critical of capitalism?
You
which
might
I
be
am.
too.
I am.
I think you say you're a capitalist, but it's a lot more
because
nuanced.
I'm not against the idea of capitalism. I think it's a good system with the correct.
With a lot of corrections.
He wants.
When you say
He
you're
just wants
anti-capitalist,
capitalism
it
with
sounds like you're
bumpers.
saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, you don't believe in
He
capitalism.
just
as a
wants
governing,
his capitalist ethno-state.
Yeah, like if if capitalism is bowling, he just wants to make sure that no one can go in the gutter. He still wants there to be a difference between people who bowl a strike and people who get a split and people who can't even hit one.
Yeah, he wants everybody to be able to get at least like one or two, you know?
Exactly. Which I think it's not a bad sentiment. Like the idea that, everybody should be able to. But I think a lot of people don't even throw the ball. So at some level, there's a lot of people that just need to
get off
not be a part of the community, I guess. To go somewhere else.
To me, too, is when you threw out that line from Glengarry Glen Ross about greed being good or whatever, I don't think
that's not bad. That's like a, isn't that like a...
Yeah, no,
that's like a...
Glengarry Glen Ross.
I don't think that's the first time that was written.
Well,
anyway, regardless.
it's certainly not the first time that people have felt that way, but that line that people often repeat is from that play. But anyways, yeah, I mean, all it comes down to me is that I don't think arranging society based on greed is good for the human spirit.
Based on
and I think we
greed.
see the consequences
I don't
of
know.
that
I think we can
all
use
around us.
greed in
So,
a helpful way.
a hyper-capitalistic society like
Greed needs to have bumpers. Okay.
Oh, we
Because
said
the idea
bumpers.
that
I
we
forgot.
Can live in a society without greed is a fairy tale. It just doesn't exist, and you can't approach a practical way of governing a huge body of people without looking at it realistically. Because at the end of the day, if you look at the USSR again, and
I just love that he's like, yeah, capitalism not
are
realistic.
the ones that are
I love it.
pathological. They are greedy.
You don't think that happens in our society?
It is, but like, that's not the antithesis of everything that
Right,
we
you
stand
think,
for.
you think that capitalism
If you-
does a better job at
you have to be aware. Say, listen, we live in a world where greed is inevitable, and so we need to harness.
USSR, famous for not having rich oligarchs running it. Definitely not happen. And the same ones for the last like 50 years or whatever, however long. It's not there for sure. Meanwhile, like we've had, I don't know, like you want to be as cynical as possible and call like Bezos, Zuckerberg, and Elon are oligarchs. Like they're not even related to the previous group that was like in charge of everything, right? Like it's crazy to think that it's that. Isn't Ethan rich? He is. That's why he loves capitalism, Lucifer. Welcome,
You know,
Lucifer.
I want to see people start fixing with
Stitch and Adam finally finished their super chats. God, their econ discourse was droning on a bit.
I say, do you know the like loosening? Yeah, you remember you're talking about the loosening standards, the clothing standards.
Yeah.
What if people just start wearing like babies, just like fetuses on a t-shirt?
Just a fetus.
Just like a little baby in the womb on a t-shirt and pro-life.
Is it an actual fetus or is it just a?
Oh no, pictures of like a fetus.
Picture.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah. Why would pro-life politicians just start doing that? It's like, protest the dress code. That'll get rid of it real quick, or they'll bring it up real quick. There's a lot of things you can do to get the dress code back the way you want it.
Right.
Yeah.
I do love the economics chat, but I do think that the having that one guy on to talk about What was he talking about? He was talking about like major real estate investments, like multi-building. Like I'm interested in that kind of stuff because like multi-building, like there's a bunch of steps that it takes to get there. So it's kind of interesting to hear some of that.
So you're talking about like people making apartments?
With people buying apartments, not even making them. Just like, oh, I sold an apartment in this state to buy it in another state. I'm fascinated
like a whole
by that.
complex, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but most people aren't. So I feel like a lot of people just are tuning out when they started talking about that. I can't shoot him in the face when he's up like that, can I?
No, you gotta wait for him to like look at you.
MMT talk, I'm fine with. I just think it's funny how many people hate MMT, and it's like it literally is just saying like it's weird the way we make money, right? Like that's all it says.
What is MMT?
MMT is modern monetary theory that it goes through and says like, oh, if you look at the way that money enters our system, it enters our system when the government says, here's what we're buying. But then classical economics is like, oh no, it only happens when they print the money. And it's like, yeah, but they only print the money because they said they were going to spend the money. So like the choice to spend the money comes first is sort of the MMT's big thing. But a lot of people, they equate like a very specific, like, no, money has to be printed before they can do anything else with it. Did I get it?
Okay.
No. All right, continue.
It's that for the good that it does provide, and we need to put on bumpers for the bad things it does do. Because if we're like, yo, we need communism, and greed is bad, and nobody, everyone is equal. The cycles are going to rise to the top, and they're not going to fucking do what needs to be done. It's just not going to happen. And it's not realistic. People are going to cut. They're not going to live that way. They're not going to live that way. The psychopaths, which there's going to be like 10, 20% are just full-on psychopaths, are the ones that are going to become powerful, and they're going to take advantage of the system. They're going to become our oligarchs. They're going to become
So do you believe that
exploitative.
do you think the United States, with like its democracy, like our election system and democracy, gives good safeguards, or at least gives some safeguards to preventing the sociopaths like you're talking about that rise up through like a totalitarian system?
That's not even a problem that you can control for. There's no way we're going to keep
You don't think
sociopaths
having
from becoming
like,
billionaires.
elections and being a democratic and term limits, or having our president change every 4 years?
Are we talking about like rich people or elected officials?
I'm talking about elected officials. I'm talking about like essentially what I'm asking is, do you think democracy is a good thing, and do you think democracy is what helps prevent?
Yeah, but obviously our democracy isn't perfect either.
Right.
But
you think ultimately that being a democracy, living in a society that votes and has, the people agree on who should represent us and who should lead us is something like that's a better system than like say China, right? Where they have a council of elites and somebody is elected from within, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what if we ran companies that way? Because companies aren't democracy. They're totalitarian.
This guy's a moron, dude. I hate him.
I love him. I got Michael. It's such a dumb line.
I didn't know we run
companies.
Didn't know that was coming. You haven't heard this one before?
I've heard it before, but I didn't know that's where he was going. Oh my god. No, you can't be electing who runs your fucking company. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of.
You know how you elect who runs your company? By choosing the company you want to work for.
Or how about this? Yeah. How about the people that put towards the money to pay for the business so they can pay the employees and pay for all the production costs? How about the people that pay that money? How about they're the ones that choose who runs the company?
Yeah. And like I said, you can have a co-op where all the employees run the company. There's nothing in capitalism that stops that from happening. You can do that all you want.
Also, you don't actually have to worry about spamming your buttons. It's specifically designed so it's 3 phases.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. I was like, oh, God.
I'm not sure if you can actually mess it up. I'm pretty sure you have to. It has to like it'll start stirring, but I could look up a video and see how long it sits there.
It'll just sit there and wait.
I think it waits. Yeah, like cool. What if you don't attack the worm?
Yeah, what if I don't attack worm? I mean, I guess I can always just redo the mission for an S rank and then just sit there. It's finally over. We get it.
So how do you run a company? So first of all, usually how are companies made? Usually,
are you saying like an entrepreneur starts a business?
Like Apple. Let's just take Apple or Google.
Right.
Made by a few enterprising people. So yada yada yada. It's made by 3-4 people. Apple, and over the years, it's growing.
Yep, it's getting
bigger. So how do you run Apple?
At what point does it become like subject to public opinion on who's going to run it and stuff like that? At what point does it get big enough to make those decisions?
And that's something that. See, that's what.
That's a good question. It is, isn't it, socialist lover? Maybe you should have an answer to that.
I asked the question about how you feel about elected
because like a
Government.
independent artist is also running a business and could be making a lot of money depending. There's a wide range. So how do we like, what do we define as?
Businesses aren't government.
No, they're not. They're part of the freedom of the
But I agree that like,
Fabe Nace, baby. Businesses aren't government. Put it on a shirt. I can't believe how straightforward that is. Well, they're not, yeah.
like a company like Google is also government.
Yeah, we're you know,
But that's
in
a whole
broad
different
sense.
aspect of regulating these like monster businesses.
Right, and oftentimes, you know, when there are critical parts of society.
Also, you know, we do have this system wherein businesses get big enough that a group of individuals are able to have control over how that business operates. It's not like perfect, but you literally buy votes by buying stock. And anyone who's like, oh, only rich people buy stock. It's like, there's companies, I own stocks that are like $1. Like, there's not every company is like, you know, a $700 stock like Tesla was or Amazon was for a minute there, right? Like, you can buy stocks in a company if you want to vote on it.
It was $2,000.
Is it?
It was 2,000. Then they divide it by 20.
They did a 20-way split. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've had Boeing for a bit.
I did the funny thing of selling all my stock and buying a single Amazon stock before it split.
Nice. Now I've got 20 Amazons. She's gonna vote on what design Hila uses since she has no style. She has the style of a grandmother, I think. What is the Teddy Fresh? That's what it is. They have a few interesting things. I think it's kind of cool that they. Oh my goodness, it's kind of cool they had like a Rip and Dip collab. Go back, image. There you go. Look at that. Teddy Fresh sale.
Sala.
Delete my browser history when I die. That's funny.
I don't like her.
I mean,
don't
that should
like her
just be your screensaver on all your devices. In event of death, please destroy.
You have one chair in
Imagine
Disney
thinking
just
I
so I
have
can listen to
browser
the shareholders
history.
meetings. Good.
That we deem like off limits to the private sector. We're like, let's say like the military. We don't, you know, the government has a monopoly on that, right? Monopoly on like keeping an armed force and everything. Yeah.
They don't actually. The government has a monopoly on licensing an armed force, I guess, because even if you have like a private security company or a PMC or anything like that, you still have to get like licensed usually. But the government is not the only military force that exists in America. What about Teddy Fresh ripping people off allegedly? As the story has been told, is that a artist that worked at Teddy Fresh kind of copied a design, and when it was brought to Ethan and Hila's attention, they promptly addressed and fired that employee. Beyond that, I don't know if it's true or not, or how much involvement they had directly. How are those meetings here? They're quite dismal.
At least in theory. I mean, obviously, there's a whole different conversation, but you know, in the United States, we have some say over what our military does as a result of that, right?
Do we?
We elect the people. We elect the commander in chief. We elect who's in charge, and we elect the person.
Oh, that's
is
a
able to control
roundabout
the
way
armed
of
forces,
saying
right?
I mean,
we have.
theoretically, the armed forces should be controlled by Congress, which hasn't really ever hasn't been taken place recently.
You're right. Yeah, according to the Constitution.
But you're saying, what are you saying? Just, you know what I mean?
What are
I'm
you
saying?
saying?
That we can agree that there are certain things in society that we have decided that it's best if this is not left up to the entrepreneurial spirit, right?
Yes, government should be in charge of stuff that has great social.
Right, and so
value.
some people might think that
great social
work,
value,
the work that people are required to do to live in our society, is also something essential and should be controlled.
I'm trying to think how I would word it.
Not the way that asshole just worded it. Holy shit.
The government should. Ooh, a laser shotgun. That's cool.
That's like Cyberpunk.
I don't even know if it should be technically government controlled, but like, government. What's the R word for like
retardation?
Californication.
Regulation.
Regulation, yeah. government
I think I just said the same word twice.
Yeah, government regulation to some extent in areas that are like universal. I'm trying to think. I need to find a better way to like identify this, but like roads and highways, like obviously it's private companies that actually build them, but they're built to like specifications from the government. Utilities, like around here, depending on what area you're in, you will have a different company, private company that runs your power, that runs your water, that runs whatever it is. But there are very specific regulations in place from the government for that, because everybody needs water in this one way, and having multiple water companies to bring water to your house would be ridiculous. Think about them trying to cut new pipes every time.
Yeah.
So like
make a lot of money for plumbers.
Yeah, certain areas of industry, I think it makes sense to have an amount of government regulation, but you still need those to be private entities. I don't think the government should be running them specifically. Clack clack laser barrel. It's true. I'm gonna keep going as gun tank. See if I can keep it up. But I am glad I got these new things. Oh, what's this one? Laser lance? What?
Yeah, you should try that one out.
Is it
Laser lance is really good as a melee. Just try it out and see what happens.
Energy based piercing attack. Okay.
I mean, if you got the money.
I've got lots of money.
He just doesn't want to do anything else. He wants to have a gun tank.
I know. Which, I mean, that helps you accumulate wealth.
It does. It does accumulate wealth. What? A laser cannon on the back shoulder? That's cool. Spread bazooka? Okay. Okay. Now
Yeah, people say it's really good. I never even tried it.
Laser
well, I tried it, but I didn't really like it.
Does this deploy a
the weapon screen and
I believe the laser turret, yeah, it literally just
hovers in
drops
place
the
to
turret.
support. That's great.
I'm pretty decent TV. I think it's not.
Are those
good
back weapons?
TV.
The hovering laser turrets?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I heard they're a little annoying to use, but yeah. They should
Well, I mean, it just drops the turret where you are, and then it just kind of sits there and shoots stuff. So it's honestly as mobile as you're usually going to be. It's not that useful.
Yeah,
if it followed you, that would be a different.
There are two that actually do. There's a laser orbit and there's a bullet orbit.
I was thinking of the laser orbit. Yeah, that's the one.
Because the laser orbit and bullet orbit are both really good. Because they just have automatic tracking.
Oh, I think this headpiece might actually work better.
Wasn't there like some weird timing stuff you have to do with it?
I don't think you want the flat headpiece.
No? Why not?
Unless you're talking about aesthetics, because no, the flat headpiece is really bad. Unless you need to shave, like if you need to shave down weight, you should probably cut somewhere else because it has a massive loss of stability, so you get stunned way easier with the flat headpiece than anything else.
Gotcha. Ooh, I like this one.
Yeah, basically the thing is just for its slot, it's just really low quality. It's much better to cut some weight somewhere else.
Capacity recharge.
Yeah, that one is heavy, but it has good EN capacity. It has good capacity, high weight.
It looked like it was, decently on the weight even.
We control government institutions.
Well, that's because you're already using the heaviest generator.
How do you do that? There are public institutions, right?
So electricity isn't invented by one dude who's just like, I have this great idea, I'm gonna make a company. Okay. The internet isn't owned by one dude. You know what I mean? Water isn't owned by one dude. Just by the definition of utility. So if Google, how are you going to go to a guy who founded Google and say, how do we make the government? We're taking it for the government. So what does that mean? What does that mean?
Okay, well, I mean, so
yeah,
I feel
what
like there's
that
two tracks
mean?
here because there's how do we like you're now asking like how because we're in deep, right? There's a sunk cost here. We've built a society the way that we are, and ripping that all out is going to be a very disruptive process. So you're right. Like what if the government tomorrow were to nationalize all of Silicon Valley and just say, yeah, these are all publicly owned and take it all away, obviously people wouldn't go quietly with that, especially the people that own Google. They wouldn't like that, right? And so, I mean, that's something that has happened a lot when socialist revolutions happen. When the revolution happens, and it's like, okay, we're going to nationalize all the oil industry. Like that all just belongs to the government now. You don't get to own that as a private citizen anymore. And so, where is that line? What is essential to society? What is it?
Again, oil, you're talking about a natural resource. I'm talking about like a big company.
Sure.
They invented their own product and sell it. I personally don't think there's anything wrong with the rules that govern that come from, the people, from the concepts of of guards.
Oh, you mean the
guardrails,
people are in
high
charge of
level,
how
that
these
they have to
things
treat their
happen?
employees with a certain level of, they have to compensate them to a certain
we're
level
coming
to
back to
provide.
that social democrat.
So like,
and listen, social.
so
Like,
I don't
have a
think,
problem with what you're describing, really. Like,
analysis
I agree.
button.
I mean,
I don't think putting the government in charge is gonna.
Which one?
Press the like F.
Oh, you want to see that? Yeah, it's,
Yeah,
it's
the
just, I
attitude
just saw the
stability
AP was
drops
cut in
by
half,
300. Yeah, half armor, half or no stability. So yeah, the head is not good. If you have any amount of weight, you should never use it. Which obviously you have to. You have plenty of weight. The other flat head, the one that has just like a bunch of eyes, that's like kind of boxy.
Mhm.
That one's pretty decent because it just gives you a lot of armor.
Yeah, this one would be better for my medium range.
Improve anything. If you were talking about like massive businesses, like
Yeah, that generator
Google,
is
again, just to
viable.
use an Apple. You're talking about natural resources that benefit all people that need then that's it. Then But listen, I'm open to having a debate about all these things. I'm not saying one way or the other. Like,
conversation about it. I just think that I think it comes down to again where that line is drawn, and it's like internet stuff, for example. You're right. I mean, especially in the early days when it's just little companies figuring it out. But then at a certain point, when does the internet become a human right? When does living in society, does the internet become a requirement, and does it become fucked up to deny people that because they can't afford it?
Sure.
No, I agree with that.
And so it starts to get kind of gray, right?
Well, I'm looking at this nuance. I'm not saying we need to have conversations about stuff as it happens, and we need to have it from like a benevolent point of view and a
Have you
realistic
tried
point of
laser
view.
lamps?
I'm not saying.
Yeah, it's
I'm
kind
open to
of
having a
stabby.
conversation about socializing anything.
Yeah, you
right?
charge it
But that's
and
what
it
it should be.
makes
It
you
should be
go
a conversation.
zoom. It goes
and
really
about
far.
like the social good that something can have, and if it needs to be, is it being, is this business being owned privately to a great detriment to the majority of people? Are people not having access to it who need it? And this is a conversation to have on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, and so you're an incrementalist, and you think,
And so far, like we're talking about the really big companies, which we all agree on that, like Google, Facebook, all the scary stuff. I agree, 100%. But like,
The
what about
scary
the in
stuff.
between? What about everything else? Like under
Is
that.
it scary?
But again, we're talking.
I don't think it's
I'm
scary
talking about
either.
like regulations. I'm talking about like antitrust shit. I'm not talking about full government takeovers of the company.
How's
Okay, right,
Venezuela
but it doesn't-
looking? Exactly.
The full government takeover of the company is the extreme end of that. But like the middle ground of what I'm talking about is unions. That's what unions
I'm
are, right?
pro.
If the government owns the company, it's still just capitalism.
I'm just talking about unions, guys. I mean, I'm just gonna pull back way back here. I mean, I'm just talking about unions.
Communism
guys.
when union.
It was always going to be about unions.
It's true. We all knew this was coming eventually because, like, let's be straight. Somebody who works at a massive company and wants to, like, negotiate or, like, have some sort of, like, sway, grouping up with your fellow workers is really the only way that that's going to work. The problem with unions is you've just created another company that you report to. Like at Boeing. Boeing has a bunch of unions, and people hate the unions because the unions don't help them with anything. They don't get them better wages. They don't get them, better health care. They get them okay health care, and they get them decent wages, but they're not really helpful. And they end up just paying all these dues because you have to be in the union to work there in order to actually have their jobs. And so it just becomes a tax that you pay to another company that has nothing to do with what your actual job is and actually stands in your way half the time. So, like,
That's always the weirdest part to me. That I understand why you have to be in the union, but like, it's just so weird that you can like enter an industry and then actually you're gonna have to go with our minimum rate. That's what you're gonna have to accept because that's what we negotiated before you even were born.
Exactly. Oh, these are way faster than the songbirds, I think.
Use the lance.
Well, yeah, they don't like to shoot one. That's the difference. It shoots once instead of twice because the double shot slows you down. It goes bum bum.
Look at that humping his body. Even
Get
if
the
Ethan
off
is going
screen.
about it in a very dumb
It's
fashion, it's like
disgusting.
Ethan is trying to question some of these stupidly held beliefs of leftists in his audience. Yeah, he's got an entire like chat that's like, "You're a capitalist pig," and he's like, "I want to take care of everybody, but you guys just want to like burn it down. What's wrong with you?"
Right,
and I think workers should have power.
So right, and so all a union really is in a sense, it's somewhat democratizing a workplace because now the union gets a say in how the business is conducted. Hey, the workers, we're all getting together and we're saying, unless you improve this, unless you do this.
How's that?
That's kind of
working
funny,
for
but
the-
that's not what's happening.
How's that working for the writers? How's that, or the actors? Are they still on strike?
Yes.
How many days is it now?
Like 6 months.
Uh, 29-year-old background actor on the SAG-AFTRA strike. AI could mean I have nothing new to offer. Ooh, sucks to be you.
Sucks to not have value.
1 day ago, Writers Union will resume strike negotiations with studios this week.
This is so stupid. The average writer is better than AI. I think that's pretty
for right
rare.
now. For
Like,
sure.
AI
I have
cannot
read
tell
some
a
things
story.
that
I feel
are
like
pretty
the average.
freaking
I feel
great.
like the average writer is AI now. I
The
feel
average
like they
writer
just ask
cannot.
AI.
No. The AI cannot tell a story, a coherent story. It can't tell a
AI
long-
feels like
What was
generation
the last coherent
1
story you've
YouTube.
seen in what's the last coherent story you've seen in Blockbuster?
Shit. I actually that one was probably based off a really old book, and that other.
Yeah,
Talk to
right.
me. Have you seen Talk to Me?
Do you think Avatar was written by a human or an AI?
I think it was written by. I think neither. To be fair, not a human or an AI.
Was it written by a human or an AI? Got it
We
here.
found it in space.
It was definitely written by blue people propaganda.
No, I think AI feels like Gen 1 YouTube. Like it's a haha silly kind of random. But it's getting there. Like I think it can get there eventually. But it's still going to need some level of input that's just not going to be there if it's dismissed entirely.
Yeah.
And rather than just use AI to help them, I love how everyone's just like, they're going to take our job. And it's like, well, why don't you work with AI to not lose your job?
Why don't you learn how to code an AI? Maybe they'll help you.
You hear the writers got most of their demands except for the minimum writers requirements, and they turned it down. I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, they're very fucking stupid.
We're not showing up. We're going to
This is a
prevent anybody.
negotiation. This is a conversation. You know what I mean? It's not
Right,
like
well,
it's not a government interjecting.
You know, the thing
telling
is,
business what they can and
strike
can't
is
do.
probably
I'm
In a
raising
gonna-
sense, it is
a
because
lot of
government
money.
gives protections to unions. We at one point decided that these are important, and we created a structure where we
I'm in
said-
favor of that.
Right,
I
because
am
prior to
too.
that, the owners of the factory or whatever, when the workers tried to do something like that, they literally fucking shoot them.
Ah, yes.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
You remember when they were shot? When the Pinkertons
I remember when there
shot
was.
people?
I remember when there was violent protests at factories a couple hundred years ago, and then they got into gunfights with their workers. Yeah, I remember that happened.
It happens in China a year ago, apparently, in Zhengzhou.
Were they 3D printed?
Yeah, basically, there's a commie talking point.
They're gonna shoot you. The government backs up the unions. I mean, okay, I guess. But the government also backs up the company. Like, the company has certain rights under the government. The union has certain rights under the government. It's crazy.
There was a
Right,
plot
so,
line.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Not okay.
That
I'm in-
happened.
Okay, but I'm in favor of unions.
Okay, well,
And by the way,
I'm glad to
if you
hear
look
that,
at again, what you look at Scandinavia, which I think is like as close to a model
They have very
society,
high- very,
they have
very high
tons of
union
unions,
participation rate, right? Yeah,
right?
like extremely.
And probably tons of laws protecting unions.
Mhm.
And so again, I'm looking at
It's and
social democracy,
capitalism.
like in Scandinavia, and saying this is a model society, and it's as close as we're going to get as an equitable
I'm trying
society,
to, like-
realistically, too.
Yeah.
What?
I'm trying to understand what is the
SAG
point we don't
after is
agree on.
$3,000?
Well, I just think, look,
Well,
I don't
here's
think-
what
I
I
don't think
disagree.
we're that far apart from each other.
You saying anti-capitalism. Are you opposed to the idea of capitalism? Because I agree that capitalism in its current form is unsustainable.
I would say that I am opposed to it, but I would say I am far less radical than many that think that we should tear it down immediately. I think that the ripple effect of that would inevitably
Oh,
be
yeah.
extremely
You think that
violent
would be
and disruptive to
crazy?
society. And I'm more of the incrementalist. Now, I would say I am for the left of you because I think that the end goal should be a little bit further
you
in that
think?
direction than what you're saying. But
In what way?
Which is
we're,
why I
talk-
just
we're
wanna
talking in
understand.
degrees
In what
here.
way? Yeah.
Like what?
In what way are you? First of all, the guy saying like capitalism shouldn't exist is like, I feel a fairy tale. It's just not a realistic expectation for.
It's a
for
fairy
humans to-
tale. It doesn't
I
work.
just
Or like
don't.
for me, it's like define what would that look like. I just want to like get to an understanding where we
in
understand
like really
each other.
simple terms, I think that an incrementally pushed left society that's moving away from capitalism a little bit would likely have companies use profit sharing models with their employees on a much bigger basis. And you see some companies doing that. but
Profit share.
If you look
Yeah,
at,
'cause they
if
don't
you study it
already
over
share
time, What has
wages.
happened is the opposite of that, is that the profits of companies are getting concentrated more and more up
Well, we're
into-
just talking about regulating and stuff again.
You have no
Right,
idea
so
why
I
that
would say
happens.
that-
He has no idea why that happens or what that even means, what this money looks
I
like,
love-
where this money is, what this money.
I love
Yeah,
how
he doesn't know any of
Ethan's
this.
just like, that's just regulations. We're just talking about regulations. They're not talking about communism. We just regulate it.
Uh,
It's like you don't need your communism. Get out of here.
One thing that you could do is you could regulate it that you, as an owner and a CEO of a company, the profits that the company is generating, you're obligated to share that with the people that work for you on a much bigger scale.
It's just a matter of how
honestly, that's insane to me too. That's fucking insane.
It's literally higher minimum wage laws. That's all it would equate to. And we already know that those aren't necessary because wages are going up anyway.
Like if somebody is making so much profit, other people will come into the business to compete with them. They'll come into that sector to compete with them and offer for less money. And they'll steal away the sales because they're offering it for less.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know, paying people more is great for people until they don't have a job anymore. If you're paying people so much that you can't maintain the business anymore because there's not enough profits to keep it going, like people just assume that any profit is too much profit, and it's just not how it works. You need profits today to cover your deficits tomorrow, and it's insane to think that like a business just having too much profit is the problem. I do love this pause face we found though. Look at this. Oh, he looks like my reaction face a little bit. Oh.
Mouth is almost open enough. Here's just a little bit too much soy consumption. He can't match it.
He can't do it. He can't match this level of soy. He's too
Always
commie.
is to pay
They
your
can't grow
workers
the beans.
as little as possible. That is.
He doesn't eat enough.
That's human nature, bro. That's why we need to adjust where that bar is. We need to agree that bar, because listen, it's only natural
that's why I'm saying
for
we're not
people
that far
for
away.
big.
We're talking in degrees of how far you move the bar. I'd probably move it further than you, but I'm not. I don't own a company like
But yeah, I mean, listen, if you're just debating on like how much to
I don't own
compensate
a
your employees
company
fairly,
like
that's
you.
like, you know.
Was that a subtle you disagree because you capitalist man? Like,
Yeah.
Is that what he was trying to say there? Like, because I'm the worker, I understand communism better?
Yeah, that's a shot.
Wow.
And we're talking about
You
first steps
could
here.
be like,
too.
yo, I think every company should give X amount of profits to employees. It's also overly complicated because in the sense it's like, what if you don't have a profitable year? Then the employees make less? Also, fudge the number. How many businesses fudge their numbers?
But what you just described happens all the time.
Okay,
People
but
get
I'm not
fired,
talking
they get
about what
laid off, or
happens.
they get-
Huh. Curious,
So
isn't
if we
it?
share profits, do we share losses? Well, that already happens. Oh, does it now?
Huh.
Have you seen someone's paycheck get smaller when a business makes less money that year? Are wages at Disney going down as they go? Like certain sectors are on less.
No, they
profitable?
don't.
No.
Because it's a deficit this year. They know it shouldn't sustain.
Because if I showed up to work and got my paycheck at the end of the pay period and it was smaller because the business had made less money that month, I'd leave. I would not still be working there.
Well, yeah, you couldn't. All of a sudden, your paycheck is tied to the success of the business. That's absurd.
Yeah. Now, the way that you do that in business is you have businesses like food service or sales where you get a wage, so whatever your wage is, and then you get either tips if you're in a restaurant or in sales, you get commissions. So the more you sell, the more you make. The less you sell, the less you make. So you can tie somebody's income to their performance at the business without having it be like some silly profit share that's like just a weird thing that nobody really wants to understand. And we have these systems already in place. I don't know why we need new systems to fix this.
Yeah, wage cuts.
What happens is not good. What is happening is not good. We both agree.
Yeah, no, I think, obviously we both agree on that. Yeah, 100%. You said what's happening?
What's happening now is not good.
Yeah.
I think what's happening is pretty
I think
good.
I think having a bare minimum bar of what we provide, the basic human rights to people, like FDR was carving out, is a better system, personally.
Not
And a simpler
those,
system,
not those,
a more
Ethan.
realistic
Those are
system.
not.
I feel like the conversations of like how far to go are like, I'd be willing to have them, but I feel like first I just want to see like normal shit happening. You know what I mean? Like
that's the thing is like, that's why again,
'Cause
like,
that's almost like
I have
fantasy
like my
land.
personal beliefs of like idealism of like how I would love to see the world work,
Yeah.
like rainbows and everything, and then I have the other side of like,
Do
okay, we live in
you?
the real world, what can happen or whatever, and so those are different conversations, and so yeah, I mean, for now I would. Yeah, public health care would be great. You know, like that's the thing is, in my opinion, we're in such a bad spot that like, yeah, you know, we're
Public
I'll take
healthcare would be
just
great.
getting Medicare
So if
for
you
all.
gave,
Like, that would be a huge W, sure.
do you think Dan doesn't have healthcare?
Ethan just doesn't give him healthcare.
He just doesn't get paid healthcare. Is that why he's upset right now? He's like,
That's what this whole tirade is about. It's like, Ethan, could I please have healthcare?
Please, sir, can I have some care?
Ethan, hire one more person so I can fucking unionize.
Yeah, he doesn't have enough people for the auto unioning. Ow.
Mm-hmm.
The Nepenthes? I don't even know what
And
this is.
that's, in my opinion, not far enough, but I'll take it. I'm not going to say no to that, right?
People think that. I don't know. Listen, people think it's
Yeah, you have to
impossible
work
to say
off
it's human nature to be
sound so you
greedy.
can actually know when it's
Show me
shooting.
one time in a big organized society where that wasn't the inevitability of like deep-seated societal.
Yeah, you're just
destroying
kind of getting
corruption.
shot because it actually
Do you
has
want to live in a
time where it
society
isn't
that
shooting.
encouraged that?
At
Do I
the
want to
time
live in
you're
a
setting
perfect
up the
utopia? Yeah.
platform.
Yeah, but no, I'm not saying perfect utopia. I'm saying quite a few people that run our country, and I'm not saying you feel this way because this isn't your opinion, but this is the prevailing attitude in this country, is that it's a good thing to arrange the way we run society around. Let's embrace that greed. Let's use it for good, like you said, rather than, hey, this is a fundamental part of human nature.
Yeah,
we
why
should check
not?
it.
Why not use that greed for
So that's
good?
the difference.
Well,
right?
it's to me not that big of a difference. It's
I
the same
think
thing.
I think there's a fundamental difference.
I'm not saying like there are people who are going to be extremely innovative and effective that are going to be motivated by wanting to be really rich and really powerful.
Yeah, I mean,
Elon Musk is a good example. The guy's a fucking psycho piece of shit. I hate him on a level. But like,
why do you
what
hate
he's achieved
Elon?
with Tesla is undeniable in terms of moving EV to mainstream. It just is undeniable, right? And I don't even want to give him the credit because I fucking hate him. Think he sucks. But like saying
think
like
he sucks.
making this,
I wish
decision
I came
promoting
up with
greed
EVs.
or putting guardrails to prevent from greed. It's just there's not a significant difference. There, in my
You
opinion.
don't understand. He didn't come
Unless
up
you can
with it.
unless
He
you can
just took the
explain.
idea and-
By the way, people were saying this is worse than
He's
today. The
emerald
show's
mine
over, right?
rich.
I mean,
He
it's been
didn't
over. Just
design
leave
the
if you don't like
car.
it.
What time is it?
It's past 5.
It's after 5.
This is
Yeah,
just
we got caught up.
We gotta go.
You gave yourself no green flag for not wanting to talk about politics, and then you just launched into an hour-long diatribe about socialism versus capitalism. So, liar.
I think it's interesting.
I think social democracy is the way to go. It's just realistic, man. And I'm pro-union, and I think people should be fairly compensated. I think people are entitled to own a home. I think people are entitled to go to college. I think people are entitled to, have healthy meals. And I also think that I don't think that we should regulate how rich people can be if they're existing in that.
Yeah, let
in
people
that
be as rich
sandbox.
as they can.
Like I'm not going to come out here and say billionaires shouldn't exist, because if you can become a billionaire in this sandbox where you're paying your fair share to provide for people in this way, making sure you live in a society where people get houses, where people get food, where people get education, if you can do all that and still be a billionaire, then there's no problem with that, in my opinion. There's just.
You wonder if Ethan is having an Anna moment, that doubt about his own side creeping in. I think it's different here than the Anna side, because Anna ran into this idea that the left started being like mean to her, whereas Ethan starts doing a podcast with famous commie streamer Hasan, and eventually the fan base spillover starts to bring their crazy commie thoughts, and Ethan, YouTuber, Teddy Fresh, whatever else he does, big ass mansion, like he is a capitalist and loves what America has brought him. He sees America not only as someone who lives here and has succeeded from it, but also through the eyes of his wife, who grew up in Israel. So he has a double vision of what America is, to understand the capitalism. And so when he finally gets encountered with this audience of people who are like, communism better, and I'm looking at this chat replay, and it's saying, billionaires should not exist in all capital letters. He's like, I am making money and like making money, and you people give me money. If billionaires shouldn't exist, why do you people watch me and give me money? Like he's encountering this. I don't think it's that he's like having a come to Jesus moment where he's like, oh man, I shouldn't be like this. He's running into people who think the antithesis of him. Ethan, remember when you were writing for Elon? Also, he's a Nepo baby. This is entertaining as fuck. I'm glad we got this instead of 3 hours about Swoop. Don't listen to the haters. Oh my goodness. It's more of a Destiny moment then. A little bit, yeah. I would say it's closer to a Destiny moment than that. You agree we need trillionaires? I have a friend who thinks that is the Bezos motivation, that he He just wants to be the first guy to hit $1 trillion.
Well,
you know what
we've
I
had
mean?
this discussion before, but I think it just comes down to whether or not you believe you can get to that level without doing horrible shit.
Doing horrible shit? You mean like, can you?
Is that even an attainable thing without being an immoral person?
There's billionaire has become a huge range. You know, look at people on the top. They're worth 200, 300 billion.
Yeah, Elon Musk billionaire is
sick.
like a lot more than a 1 billionaire.
Can you become that rich without doing horrible things? Definitely not. Can you get $1 billion without doing horrible things? Probably.
Well, billionaire shouldn't exist as a snappy slogan. Maybe you can quibble about where the line of acceptability is, but I think you understand in principle that at a certain point, that level of wealth, concentrated wealth,
in my model society, I don't think people could become that rich.
What about like Taylor Swift worth $740 million?
She's just an entertainer.
I think the thing that Ethan needs to clarify here, though, is that it's not because they couldn't become that rich. I think Ethan thinks someone could make as much money as they want. He just wants to make sure that there's like a society for enough people below them. And so he just doesn't think that would happen. But he wouldn't like stop someone from being a billionaire, whereas someone like Hasan and probably Dan here would actively say, oh, did you earn $1 billion? Get ready to give 500 million of that to everybody else, if not more. Looking at those, like, what is the Sam Cedar thing where it's like taxed at 30%, and then as soon as you make like $1 million, anything over $1 million is taxed at like 90% or something, and it's like, how about I make not that much? I don't even know where I'm going.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. That when you say billionaires shouldn't exist, I think it's about time we start making a distinction between like 100 billionaires and like, you know.
Dyson's powerful vacuum now washes
It's the it's the inflation rate of the billionaire should not exist. Now it's 100 million. 100 billionaires should not exist.
hard floors, continuously using clean water.
Single-digit billionaires, because there is a big difference. You know what I mean? There is.
You don't
Like
think
a lot
that's
of
a little silly to
musicians.
quibble over that? Because again,
Not really.
it's a political slogan at the end of the day, and I feel like it gets the
Well,
point
it's,
across
I
pretty
think that
easily, right?
I think that it's not self-serving, because I think plenty of people see that and they think what I'm seeing and they think that's silly. Why shouldn't people be able to be successful? Because there are people who are way too fucking rich and evil, you know, clearly, who got that rich. It's, you know, I think there's a difference between, like, let's say Elon Musk is 300, how wealthy is Elon? He's like 250 billion or something.
Something like that.
So he's 250 times richer than a 1 billionaire. So let's say you have 10.
Obviously, he's on the most extreme.
Let's say you have $10,000 in the bank. But what's that times 250? You know what I mean? Like, the difference is really quite huge. 250 times, you know.
2.5 million, right?
So that's a big difference, right? Between 10,000.
I'm not. Yeah.
That's the difference between having $10,000
Had all my
and
money
2.5 million.
overseas.
Yeah, but
Having $1 billion is like.
I'd lose all my
is
money
like,
in a boating
you can do
accident.
anything you want. Having $200 billion is like you can
I turn
influence
all my
elections
money
and
into
change,
baked goods.
and you can like fundamentally control the outcome of current events.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, again, it sounds like I pretty much agree with you in principle. It's just we disagree about where the line is. I think if you're at $1 billion, you're already well over the line. To you, maybe it's more than that. But
If it's
I don't
if it's
understand
a
that.
musician that got there, I don't think they did anything bad. You know, you're saying you had to have
Yeah,
that
there's
bad
entertainers
stuff.
that
What?
You'll see.
I'll see. Okay. I'm gonna turn you up a little bit.
got
To get to $1 billion.
He's a billionaire.
Taylor Swift is almost a billion.
Taylor Swift is almost there, if not already there, because I'm just looking at Google. You know, I don't know how accurate
But
this
again,
is.
Listen, rock stars are cool and they can be as rich as they want.
Let's see, Beyonce. I don't know.
Jay-Z.
Rihanna.
Well, I mean, Jay-Z doesn't.
Rihanna is accordingly 1.4
But
billion.
because she makes a lot of money from business and stuff.
Okay, but I don't think she necessarily does bad stuff to get there. I don't
Well,
see that.
she.
I don't know her
who
as a
knows?
person, but
That's the thing is once it gets to a certain point, there's something along the line that is probably involving some like child slavery or something. You know what I mean?
What?
Even without their knowledge, but
What?
like the system lends itself. to
What?
it.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably just child slavery in there.
Dan, how about you throw your phone out if that helps you make money? Because that's child slavery. Like, what? How is that the take? Oh, there's probably child slavery involved. And I, you know, also profit from child slavery, but I'm not going to say anything about that. What a ridiculous statement.
That again, because we're so focused on incentivizing finding the least common or the lowest common denominator in everything. By which I mean seeking to maximize profits, seeking to
I'm against
minimize
child
expenses however you
slavery,
can.
correct,
And
too.
there's a lot of people that are immoral and they don't give a fuck about if you know this is coming from child slavery in some West African country or whatever.
Someone said,
And
"Ethan, $1 billion would
I
change
just
my
think the
life."
system,
Sorry,
it
I don't
doesn't,
have that much.
it doesn't frown on that really. In
Sure.
a lot of ways.
I think that's
encourage it.
another philosophical conversation about like how is our society, whether it be pure socialism or democracy, how is it using and affecting, you know, other countries? You know, that's a I think perhaps a different conversation. That you can have the same conversation regardless, but you know, I see a world where you can become a billionaire ethically. It's not impossible. There's 300 million people living in America, and there's a ton of money here. If you invent a really fucking awesome thing, you can become a billionaire without doing a single thing wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe. I feel like that's the middle path. That's the real Buddha path.
How is that so crazy? The idea that you could become a millionaire or a billionaire ethically. How is that it's just crazy that you can't even fathom that idea. Dan, throw your clothes away and be a nudist because I'm a child slavery. Exactly. I'm gonna try just to free fall this. It's gotta be the speed run technique.
Yeah, I don't think that's it.
Oh, it's kind of working. Ooh. Ooh, I made it pretty far that way. I'm gonna try that again.
Become a billionaire, but harm no other in the process.
I think it's possible. I really do. I don't know what to say.
If you have the
but I'm
actual
not saying
shield,
you go out there and be a billionaire. I'm just saying I don't think we need this self-imposed here's the line, rich and no richer.
I just don't think you should let a slogan like that bother you so much. It
I
sounds
think,
like,
but I don't
you
think
agree with the spirit of the slogan.
I don't think the slogan serves itself well because, like I said, people are not seeing it like we're just talking about 100 billionaires. People see that and they say,
"No, the poor single billionaires."
Well, how are you? But come on. They don't like the idea of you coming and taking people's money. It doesn't make sense. How are you going to do that?
I mean, isn't that what taxation is? That's all they're talking.
Well, they go 99% tax over every dollar of a billion.
Yeah,
that's silly.
I mean, that's what FDR wanted.
Shots actually
It was
blocked.
99. I think the top tax bracket that FDR wanted was maybe it wasn't 99, but it was 95 or something.
Let's see.
Top tax bracket.
What happens when you even pay employees?
75%. 75 is what they got. I believe he want 90%.
Well, I think 90% is too high, but 75 makes sense to me.
But we're talking in modern dollars, that was probably 90% of every dollar over 5-10 million that you made that year.
Right. It's a tax bracket.
Yeah, it's a progressive tax.
And I like the tax bracket. I think 75% is probably more realistic.
I guess you could win.
Well, that's what it was. And now we're at what
And by the way, I don't think anyone gets taxed that high in the whole world. What's one country that charges the richest people over 75%?
Crashing. Say you had enough time when you're.
I don't think it does.
getting
I
to the platform. Then you
I know that. I mean, maybe.
But I'm cool with that.
What's the top tax bracket
time
in those Nordic countries? It's pretty high.
Look, yeah, it has a delay between
It is
firing
much more
shots.
than what I pay here. I pay about
Then you
55%.
decided to.
No, I think it crashed.
Well, yeah, I was talking about
20%.
aside from
Well, right,
that.
and that's the reality here too, is that
no.
everybody that's rich knows how to get around that. And
But I
just
feel like
pay.
it's also
So-
important to defend the democracy from capitalism because here lobbying is crazy. I feel like that's what's ruining America.
And that's my point. Is I feel. I didn't make this point very well. I was trying to make the point earlier, but this is why I was asking about what you think about democracy in general. Is that capitalism is it's anti-democratic and in more than one sense. And what's
In
talking
what
about is how the money
sense
can
is
corrupt
it
our democracy and everything.
anti-democratic? How does people being able to go work and make money and own the money that they work for or the things that they made, how is that anti-democratic? That's people-based. That's as democratic as they come.
Everything is a part of that. But just in general, we run. The expectation is that companies are run from the top down in a very hierarchical way.
Oh, he said hierarchical. He said the word. Companies run from the top down. What would happen if a company was run by the janitor? Ground up. Do you think that someone who's working on the front lines actually understands decision-making needs of an entire a section or a store or a region? There's a reason that we have top-down control, because you want people to have an umbrella that they look at, and then when you get to the finer details and the finer details, you have the next level, the next level, the next level. Now, there could be too many levels for sure, but there's a reason that we sort of delegate these tasks.
There isn't much say from the bottom up. You know what I mean? It's the inverse of how we run our government. And so, defending against the
Is it?
The worst tendencies.
I don't know. Our government kind of runs top down sometimes.
I advocate for.
I'm always so confused because you want to replace the system, and I guess me and Ethan want to.
What the hell is this?
When the other guys started getting uppity and talking back to the producer, he had to shut that down.
So have you guys heard about how Valve runs their company?
The top the comments are literally saying Dan's a good man. WAN, I think it's W Dan is what it's.
Yeah, what do you want to talk about for Steam?
Yeah, were you talking about how Valve people get to pick what project they work on and the desks all have wheels? I think that's
their company is so set for the future that they basically don't even need employees at this point, so they just let them do whatever.
Yeah. I think it's hilarious. It's also the reason we'll never get Half-Life 4 or Half-Life
totally.
3.
They'll probably actually just let somebody make it eventually.
Well, but nobody wants to bother making it. They always want to make their own thing, right?
No, not in Valve. No, they'll just let somebody else do it.
Oh, outside of Valve? That would be crazy if they outsourced Half-Life 3.
Honestly, they probably will at some point. It's probably going to happen after Gaben passes.
Didn't a janitor create a game that saved a company? Janitors and people that work lower down can have great ideas. Great ideas for how to make things more efficient because they're the ones that are actively doing the job. So if they have something that comes in and they're like, oh, you know, when I stack the cans like this, we can get way more on the shelf. And then it's a great idea that saves the company millions. That guy should get a bonus. Like, if you're really smart, you should be maintaining and keeping that talent around. But a guy that is stacking cans at the grocer doesn't know what the like how many, I don't know, he just doesn't know the bottom line, doesn't know how many people should be working there necessarily, may not know what the finances actually look like, may not know local tax codes, like there's all kinds of things that they don't know that if they had to learn would be, you know, doable. Like, they could learn it, but at the same time, that's just not what they're needed for. That's not what their job is delegated to. I can't believe Dan would cut this guy out.
Wait, hold on. I buttoned that.
Okay. Oh, what happened?
Oh, Ethan fat fingered it? Are you kidding me? He just said I buttoned that. Dang it, Ethan.
I said this, and I felt like maybe it came off wrong. I said, maybe that is his name.
Oh, whatever.
Everyone thought he was
actual
killing
name?
Dan off screen.
I don't even know what you're going
I
for.
have no
I
idea.
guess I vaguely know it. You were trying to call me a
Communist, yeah.
Yeah,
What was his name?
Are you talking about Mao?
Yeah.
Oh my god, the
Right.
screen. This button
But what's
screen
his
is
full
epic.
name?
Mao Zedong.
So you're
Yeah.
Mao Dan Zong? I don't know.
So
trying to think.
Mao Dan
I said,
Zong.
me and Ethan want to fix the system, like capitalism, like
yeah.
put band-aids over where it kind of leaks. and
No,
then
not
replace-
band-aids, because that sounds bad.
Okay, yeah.
We
want scaffolding.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't get why.
I don't. You don't get why?
I don't
Because
get why you don't want to
because
fix the system
because
instead of replacing it.
what we're talking about. I mean, I am talking about fixing the system as well, but my way of fixing it would be modifying it significantly more than what you're saying. Band-aiding it. Not to use that term, but.
So how do you prevent people from being billionaires? Just by doing a 99% tax?
I mean, that's a real easy way, right? I mean, FDR thought it was, and yeah, I mean.
Well, okay, you want to talk about democracy? I mean, FDR's not a.
But why? What is the negative? Billionaires buy expensive stuff and cause money to move very quickly. And the speed of money is very important to an economy functioning.
I mean, really, eventually it'd have to change because you realize that these people just have their billions in stock because their company is so insanely valuable. So to actually prevent them from having this value, you'd have to force them to not have that
value.
You'd have to forcefully reduce the value of the company or reduce their value that they hold of it.
Like, what about people, like, if you have to go by value, right? What about people who just, like, inherit a house from their parents or something, and, like, it was a $400,000 house when they inherited it 30, 40 years ago, and now it's $1 million, $2 million property, right? Like, you're forcing people who may not actually have the means to then have to sell what they have.
He's not a tyrant either. You know what I mean? He got 75% ultimately, like you said, and I think that's. I would do 90. I think it's fair anywhere between 75 and 90 for the utmost. You know, 99% to me just it seems silly to me to tax someone 99%, even if they are a billionaire.
Well, you know, when he said when he was going for the 90 and got 75, that probably was a negotiating tactic. You know what I mean?
Okay, so 75. I mean, what the fuck? That's not enough. You know what I mean? The hell of a lot more than they pay
All
now.
I'm saying is let's start there. Let's start somewhere.
Okay,
you know?
let's jack it up to 75. Let's
You'll
go.
own nothing and be happy.
I think people are jaded on capitalism, understandably.
Yeah,
Right?
Also,
Burned us all.
income tax is so useless. We should do a VAT tax if you actually want to have a useful tax. That would be the way to go, because when you have an income-based tax, all you have to do is make your income disappear, and if your income disappears, you don't owe taxes.
But Blaine, what's a VAT tax?
It's basically a sales tax at a federal level.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, you guys have sales tax in Cali. You don't in Oregon, right?
No.
No, you haven't changed that yet. Yeah,
No.
we have sales tax up here, and everything works fine. Because you can basically say, oh, here's how much your state, the state equivalent of your GDP is, and what percent of that would we need to run everything we need to run, and you run your sales tax off that. I think it's crazy though when like some states have both. Like Oklahoma has a state sales and income tax, and it's like, what are you doing? Pick a lane.
It's easy to see its flaws because we exist in it now.
And I understand from my perspective, thanks to Gary V's advice, that I am like a winner in capitalism, right? You might say.
W.
Thank you.
Different perspectives.
And so, listen, I've been on the losing end of capitalism too.
Sales
and
tax in
more and more
DC is 14%
screwing us
in
over.
DC.
But what I'm saying is we don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater, people. It's hard to feel, you know, charitable to capitalism as a concept when almost everyone's being burned by it. But you look again at Scandinavia. I think that's as close as a model society as we've achieved in human history.
I love when Scandinavia is like not communist enough. Like I love that the thing that people used to advocate for, like we need to be like the European countries, the Nordic countries, we need to use this model. And then it's like, oh, actually they're quite capitalist. Sure, they have a lot of social programs, but they've got a lot of capital investment and everything. Oh, they've changed the way in which they're addressing their trans issues. Maybe we should follow that too. It's like, oh yeah, let's follow that Scandinavian model. You have an income tax and a sales and GST. See that again? That's too much. It's too much. You should have one or the other.
I want Jimmy Lee to start paying his employees. That's all I care.
Me too, bro.
We can all agree on that
Yeah,
one.
we all agree on
And
that.
I'll take it even further. I think it should be illegal to have unpaid employees.
Yeah.
Period. You know what I mean?
I think it is.
Not
Yeah.
Well, no, internships like the intern free
I
labor
guess that's
shit.
true. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
It does seem a little
There are no countries or companies that an intern is like running the company at. And a lot of internships nowadays are paid internships.
Ray, though, doesn't it?
I'm surprised by how many people think that, like, by the way, I say radical communism because, again, you're talking about undoing the vast,
again, there's like so many like ways. I mean,
every country,
what I
even
would
the
call-
communist ones are operating via capitalism.
Right. Well, there's a lot of nuance to that too. I mean, the
We
the
can't
whole
just
thing with
dig it out, man.
Oh, there's nuance
just
to
dig it out and
communist
replace it.
countries running
Anti-capitalism,
capitalistic.
I'm
well, listen, a lot of people agree with you that
Not this
they agree
guy.
with reform rather than revolution. That's
it's pretty- it's-
a long-standing debate on
yeah.
the left of what the superior strategy is.
Yeah. But I think capitalism gets a bad rep just because that, you know, up until now, it hasn't been checked. And we're at this point now where we call it late stage capitalism, where it really is on life support. And it's just not working. It's not a good system. Unchecked capitalism is evil. It's not working well. But I do think that a hybrid...
Stop hating late stage capitalism. It works fine. It's worked like this every time. That's what people don't seem to understand. There was a time when like one guy owned the railroads.
No,
You know,
this time
was
it's
that late
different.
stage capitalism? That was like 100
different.
years ago, and we're still here.
Yeah.
150 years ago? How long ago was rail
Um,
baron guy?
It was 100 years ago.
It was 100 years ago? Okay.
A little bit before 100 years ago. Yeah.
Gotcha.
system of socialism capitalism is a really good system that can be humanistic, benevolent, and serve also the productivity and innovation that some people would say capitalism breeds.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, we really got.
By the way, I want to say
We
this.
gotta go.
Some of you guys in chat are so annoying. Like, I'm not.
don't let 'em.
I'm not advocating. Like, y'all act like I'm saying like I think that there should be no minimum wage and people should be fucking like if they can't afford come on, stop it.
Stop it.
I'm gonna act like I'm stomping on workers' faces because I don't rev
Our
shit.
audience has a wide range of views, and obviously leans
Take the
pretty far
dogs to the
left
walk
just
in the
because,
rain. All right, you have a good one. We're probably gonna wrap this up once
Listen,
Ethan's
every
done
time a
talking
measure
here.
comes to raise taxes in LA or otherwise, I always vote yes. I said I'm gonna pay 75%. Is that not enough for you guys? 75%? What other rich person is saying that? Find one.
Well, listen, I am not a radical
Bernie
communist, so
Sanders.
I can't make that argument for them. I'm sure they will in the comment section and on the Reddit over the next few days. But
All right, let's look at the comment section. I've been reading some of the chat as it scrolls by.
Oh boy.
I tried to call out a few of them. For those who haven't been watching the pod since the beginning, about every 3 to 4 years, Ethan and Dan get into this huge debate conversation about whether billionaires should exist. Okay. It's wild that billionaires can even exist when we live in a world where most people struggle just to get by, such as working 2 jobs, including myself, just to afford rent.
Maybe you
Working
live somewhere that's
3
cheaper.
currently, yeah. You pay for a membership to H3H3, save your money, bro.
Holy shit.
They shouldn't exist, period, and would not if they had the checks that Ethan kept talking about. That's the ironic thing.
As if $5 a month is life-changing money. Response one. Damn.
One of the many things I admire about Dan is his ability to participate in spirited, intense debate and then immediately crack a joke and smile and be friendly and lighthearted again. He was crying. He's crying on the inside. Ethan, like myself, takes things very personally and gets in such a grumpy mood after debating. Dan is truly the queen. I love Ethan saying that Chat and Dan are unrealistic and want a fairy tale, while he ends the show saying that he wants to live in a world where there are billionaires that don't exploit people and the planet. That's a fairy tale, dude. Is it? Like, I don't see how it's so hard to imagine that someone can, like, create something that brings value to people such that he ends up making a ton of money. Ethan is empathetic and kind person at heart, always grown a lot and improved a lot. Dan, fans challenging Ethan will keep pushing him. Seeing these real discussions is great, even if it's a bit frustrating because it shows how different political views are shaped. Family. You're a weird person, Alice said.
Read the next one. Read the next one.
This conversation is the proof that no matter how nice and likable a rich person might be, they're still rich and inherently blind to real problems. The rest of us are all suffering from capitalism, and defending it this hard just makes you look bad to us. Let us enjoy the entertainment without reminding us that you are so rich that you feel like you have to defend capitalism. What? I don't understand. Are you suffering from capitalism? Because in communism, you wouldn't be allowed to have 3 jobs. Like, you'll own nothing.
They're suffering, Blaine. Don't you understand their plight?
Just here to say Dan is extremely smart. Well, wow, everyone is just glazing Dan right now. Mega boomer brain. When it comes to capitalism, reminds me of debating my 60-year-old lib dad. I love that liberals are hated by communists. It's so great. It's like the meme, like when in the gallows, like first time. Like, it's so funny to me. Ethan going from calling himself a socialist to spouting baby brain reactionary takes about human nature. I mean, do these people think that you go communist and just all of a sudden there's no oligarch, there's no ruling class? These things just don't exist in communism. It's so funny. I'm really in such a big disbelief that Hila and Ethan really said that shit. Like, I'm actually shocked by how out of touch them saying all that was. Out of touch with what? I'm always shocking hearing it, but I feel like ever since that millionaire debate Ethan and Hila had with Dan, I'm not surprised anymore. Why, though? Not even want to be mean, but why are you surprised that a capitalist with a business is a capitalist? I guess I'm more surprised by how they dug themselves in a deep hole talking about it. What do you mean deep hole? The only deep hole he got in was thinking that he needed to still have, like, crazy bumpers. Dan is the queen. Is Dan, like, is he come out as trans or something? Everyone keeps saying Dan is the queen.
It might be a meme, but I think they're just gay.
Okay. Not sure if Dan is actually up for it, having him host Leftovers. Oh, don't do that.
Ugh.
Everyone thought Ethan was strawmanning his point. Oh, no. Anyway. All right. That was our political corner of the day. Play my link. It's very topical. Okay. I went to click on it, but then I realized my active window was the one that was already on stream. And I didn't want to,
Hold up. Play my video.
Hold up. Play your video? I gotta play this video.
I mean my face. Whatever. The camera.
Oh, okay. What do we glaze in here? Some
That's
Fresco? Look at that. You frosted a cake. What kind of cake is that?
Funfetti.
I was gonna say,
Funfetti?
Pumpkin spice.
I think it's funfetti.
Nice.
All right. I guess
That's
it's
the wrong
over.
one. But
The stream's over.
I never
Yeah,
seen you
hold
play
on.
that one.
That one? The stream ended one?
Yeah.
I don't know why I have it. It was just in the asset package. I used the BRB one though. I think that's which one's BRB? This one BRB? No. No. Not BRB.
That's not that.
That's not it. It's one of these.
You will have nothing and you will like it.
Got it, everybody? You'll have nothing and you will rock it. That was Sunomaki Watame of Hollow Live.
Yes, it is.
Watermelon.
Oh, Jeebles. Why did that happen?
Every time.
Well, it's because you're gay.
Apparently. I'll have to turn it off manually because I don't want to deal with finding it. There we go.
Whatever the end theme is.
Yeah. You had a caramel apple mix? Nice.
What the fuck does that even mean?
It's a mix to make caramel apples?
Caramel apples are made out of caramel. You just melt it.
Yeah, but don't you like buy the
I mean,
it comes in like sheets or whatever?
Probably talking about a cake flavor.
Maybe.
Like a kit? Like these things? The caramel apple kits? Have you seen these?
I mean, I assume they were a thing, but caramel apple mix? I don't think it's a mix.
Yep. Caramel apple cake. Okay.
Wow. Wow, it was what I said it was. Because that was what we were talking about. We were talking about cakes.
No, I was talking about cakes.
Fansite
Oh,
didn't change the
cake?
subject.
Oh.
Fansite was talking about caramel apple cake mix.
Oh, the chat
Caramel
wants to
salted
grapefruit Dan. Oh, they're gonna grapefruit that man. Oh, Spy Family shirt. Yay.
Yeah.
Can't wait for more Spy Family. Okay, so tomorrow, Waifu Wednesday, going through the top 10 lists and everything, playing some more Armored Core, and we'll see what happens after that. Thursday's gonna be a busy day. We should still be streaming Thursday, and then back again Friday for Fun Time Friday. Any last words, you guys, on capitalism and communism?
That cake mix and that frosting was half off.
I don't know, I might have something coming up soon. I don't know how soon, but yeah.
Nice. Well, I'll keep an eye out for it, of course, in the Discord.
Yeah, but I'll post it if I do.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I will catch you all tomorrow for Waifu Wednesday. Kampai.